Well, the reports of the Oklahoma City Thunder's demise seem to have been greatly exaggerated. I think they're proving that, at least in these last two games, two national marquee spotlight games against arguably the two best teams in the league outside of themselves, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think it's obvious that the Thunder have been sleepwalking to some degree, especially over the last 3 to 4 weeks. They've lost some games here and there that they obviously shouldn't have. They've kept some teams in games that have absolutely no business playing on the same court as them. But they show tonight, again, for the second time in a row, that when push comes to shove and they actually take an opponent seriously, they still are the cream of the crop. Though this game tonight against the Houston Rockets, an eventual 20-point beatdown, 111-91 final, was actually much closer than that final score would indicate. It was a 2-point game at the end of the third quarter. But then, look, we've been saying this about the Thunder for the better part of 2 years. You can play them straight up for a half, for 3 quarters, for 3.5 quarters. But at some point, there will come a time in a game where they just absolutely clamp you down defensively, turn you over basically like every possession, get out in transition, and just blow you off of the court. That's what they did tonight in this game against the Houston Rockets. But again, now, these are back-to-back statement games by the Oklahoma City Thunder against the San Antonio Spurs and the Houston Rockets tonight. Back-to-back 20-point-plus wins for this Oklahoma City Thunder team. They were led, I guess you can say that, by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in this game, though. Let's be honest, their team defense led the way in this game, which is typically the case when the Thunder are really playing at the top of Thunder basketball. But SGA barely keeps his 20-point streak alive tonight, and I do mean barely. He recorded his 20th point of the night on his second free throw with 3 minutes to go in a 20-point game in the fourth quarter. They then, of course, subbed him out once he secured that 20th point. But look, I have no problem with him being in there at that stage of the game. I have no problem with him trying to extend that streak because, again, this was a close game through 3 quarters, but the separation really started with SGA on the bench to start the third. That's really when the run started, and it just became an avalanche through the end of the fourth quarter. And they did it again, I got to say, with their defense. They're just showing off that all-time and certainly league-leading defense right now. But again, it is tracking to be one of, if not the greatest defenses in NBA history. That's what actually won the game for them tonight. And, you know, for that matter, in that game I referenced against the San Antonio Spurs in the previous game, they held the Spurs to 98 points in that one. They hold the Houston Rockets to just 91 points tonight. Again, 111-91 final. And it really was a tour de force kind of performance from the Oklahoma City Thunder defensively tonight. They hold the Houston Rockets, this high-powered Houston Rockets offense. At least they are that at times. The Rockets have kind of had their own struggles throughout the course of this year from time to time. But the Houston Rockets shoot just 33% tonight at home. And really no one, not a single player on that team played even a remotely good basketball game. Nothing even remotely resembling a good basketball game. They were led in the column by Kevin Durant tonight, who, sorry, I do have moderator Gary on hand tonight. He will join us here momentarily, and he is, of course, a big Kevin Durant fan and supporter. KD led the way pretty much in the wrong way, in the wrong end of things tonight. KD with just 19 points on 7 of 23 shooting against his former team, or at least the team that he started his career with. And it has been a tough 2 outings now for KD against these Thunder. Of course, the Rockets outplayed them, dominated them at portions in the opener. That would be the season opener for both these teams when the Oklahoma City Thunder received their rings and hoisted their banner for winning the championship last year. Look, the Rockets were the better team that night, and KD just crapped himself down the stretch in regulation and in overtime. And tonight, the whole team was just absolutely clamped down by the Thunder defense, and KD really struggled in this one. It's not very frequently that you see KD reduced to a volume scorer, playing very inefficient. 7 of 23 again, 19 points on 23 shots. That is just wild for KD. Alfred Şengün, their other elite superstar. He was an all-star last year. He should be one this year as well. Just 14 points for him on 7 of 15 shooting for him. So again, volume there, 14 points on 15 attempts. And look, like I said, nobody played anything remotely resembling a good game in this one for the Houston Rockets. In fact, Steven Adams shot 3 of 6 from the field in this game. He was the only player on the entire Houston Rockets roster to shoot at or above 50%. So there you have it. The Oklahoma City Thunder restoring balance to the NBA, at least in terms of their dominance in these last 2 games. I think that complacency set in a bit over the last month, and hell, it might very well set in again throughout the rest of this regular season, because they ain't getting to the all-time wins record. They'll have to get 74 wins at this point. They would basically have to win out for the entire season. That's not going to happen. So, they're going to pick up, they're going to accrue more, losses, and probably more puzzling losses to teams that they shouldn't. But again, they actually dialed in these last 2 games. I sensed a genuine amount of kind of hatred and disdain between these 2 teams. And that kind of woke the Oklahoma City Thunder up. I think if you missed it, it's the best thing I saw in the NBA in a while, quite frankly. And I'll bring Gary in to comment on this. The San Antonio Spurs, after their 3rd beating of, maybe it was the 2nd beating. No, I think it was the last one. The 3rd time they beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in a row, beat them over the last 3 weeks. They unveiled this new thing that they were doing in the arena where, Gary, did you see this? Where Victor Wembanyama was beating this drum. Did you see that?
Right. Yeah. And he led it because he was MVP. Whoever's MVP of the game gets to beat the drum. One day it was Keldon. One day it was Champagne. That day it was Wembanyama when he premiered the new tradition.
So they did this thing where Wemby was pounding this drum and leading the whole, I guess all the players and the fans and stuff in assembly. It was after that they had beaten the Thunder for, I think it was the 3rd time that they beat them. And then when the Spurs traveled to play, did you see this, Gary? When the Spurs traveled to play the Thunder in this most recent game, 2 nights ago, they had the Thunder mascot had this drum, and they were beating that and mocking the Spurs and mocking the tradition. I love it. I love that kind of pettiness and animosity and disdain between 2 teams. Yes. I think that is really what woke up. And then SGA afterwards, in his immediate interview on the court after the game, he said, this wasn't our Super Bowl. So he was kind of picking fun at the Spurs, saying that that was their whole season, was beating us. We have bigger things in store for us. So I just like the disdain and the dislike between teams. And I get that same sense that the Rockets and the Thunder kind of have that same thing. So I think those things factored in also to the Thunder playing a good game, at least these last 2 games. Again, we'll see what goes on the rest of the way. But I think, and we'll probably get into some of these other games. I was just looking at the scoreboard. Speaking of the Spurs, Gary, you're a Spurs. I think actually Wemby had a knee scare tonight. Did he have?
Yeah, he's okay.
He had. I saw that he went tumbling under the basket, and then he went into the locker room, and Twitter, or X, I guess now I have to call it, was kind of erupting over that, and it looked bad, but he has returned to the game, I do believe. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. He came back moments later. He collided with Giannis, his knee collided with Giannis's knee when they were checking each other. And I think what happens, I don't think Wemby has a very high threshold for pain. So I think when he gets hit, he starts really seething in pain. And then as it subsides 30 seconds to a minute later, he realizes, hey, I'm fine. That has happened 3 or 4 times this season, where he's had something and it looked like it was a season-ending injury, and he's back in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at it right now. They're up 27 with 3 minutes to go and the 3:50 to go in the fourth. So obviously the Spurs are just going to cruise to a victory tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. The entire starting cast for the San Antonio Spurs, it's just outrageous looking at these plus minuses. Like Victor Wembanyama was a plus 27. Stephon Castle was a plus 36. Giannis Antetokounmpo played in only 22 minutes tonight, 21 points for him. I think the writing is pretty much on the wall for Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. I do not envision that he will be with this organization moving forward after basically, I think he'll finish this year because the deal will be too complex, I think, to get done prior to the trade deadline, which is now just 3 weeks away. But this, I believe, will be Giannis Antetokounmpo's final year with the Milwaukee Bucks. He was actually booing the fans. The fans were booing them in a recent game, and Giannis started booing them back. Right. So it's just all kinds of bad right now there in Milwaukee. So I just don't really like the way things are trending for them this season, for the rest of the year, or for that matter for poor Giannis, obviously. And then his tenure with the Bucks, I do believe, is going to be limited. I think he'll be out of there by, again, the end of summer, somewhere in the summer, probably by like July or something like that. I would imagine that he will no longer be with that team. Gary, just taking a quick look at the old scoreboard tonight, and we can go in a couple different directions, I guess. The Celtics beat the Heat, really no surprise there, though they did need a big fourth quarter rally to get it done. They win 119-114, but that's behind a 36-21 fourth quarter. So the Heat were hanging tough in that game until late, really, and then the Celtics came back and ultimately ended up getting the win. Speaking of fourth quarters, a very low scoring fourth quarter in the Pistons Suns. The Pistons get the victory there, 108-105 against what has been a very scrappy Suns team this year. Like I said, a low scoring fourth quarter, 19-15 in the fourth of that one. Earlier in the day today, the Magic beat the Grizzlies 118-111. And the Mavericks right now, 110-76 all over the Jazz. The Knicks and Warriors just tipped off. The Knicks are up 10 early in that one. And we've got the Lakers and Hornets will play later tonight. The Lakers at home, -3.5. They don't tip till like 10:30. So, we will not be on doing this through the entirety of that game, but we can keep an eye on it early on, I guess. Not sure how long I'm planning on being on tonight, but just wanted to check in. I actually was hoping that this game would be better. I like the Rockets a lot this year. They play down to their opponents quite a lot, and then they play up to the teams, I feel like, when they play good teams. But and they were competitive in this game for 3 quarters, but ultimately the Thunder just kind of pulled away at the end. So I was hoping this game would be better, more intriguing, more compelling, give us something to chat more about. It didn't really go that way, but Gary, welcome into you. What say you about this game, or what say you about your San Antonio Spurs tonight?
Well, I don't understand how an NBA team can let another team clobber them by 40. It happens all the time in the league. I don't understand it. You're all professional basketball players. How do you let a team just go off like that? It's I can, like, the worst beating should be like, man, they lost by 20 points. Can you believe it? By 20 points. That should be like the max. 25, it should be a blue moon, like once in a while, but a 40-point blowout, a 50-point blowout, I don't understand it. Where is your heart? Where is your pride? I don't know what's going on with the Bucks here just to get annihilated. Well, it is 25 now. It was like 40 since they cleared their benches. But yeah, that's just my biggest thought. I just don't understand that. And the Knicks and the Warriors should be a good one tonight.
Yeah, we'll see. The Warriors have not been playing great basketball as of late. Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about them. Thank you for that segue. The Jonathan Kaminga situation. I don't know if you saw this, Gary.
He had demanded a trade.
This is literally the first day he's eligible to be traded, because of the length of time that needed to move on after he signed his new contract this summer, ultimately after a very lengthy holdout. And he ended up demanding a trade today. The rift between he and Steve Kerr is absolutely irreparable at this point. This team is mediocre, middle of the pack. They're really right now, if the season ended today, they would be in the play-in tournament, which means at best case, they're the 7 seed. At worst case, they're the 8 seed. I don't like their outlook against really any of those upper echelon teams. And even with their struggles, Kaminga still can't really get on the court. He's played in only 18 games this year of like the 40 or 41 that the Golden State Warriors have played to this point. And many of those have realistically been like coaches' decisions, like DNP coach decision. Like, I think he didn't play for like 13 straight games or something along those lines, really at the behest of Steve Kerr. And I don't understand, like, why did they not just let this guy walk in the summer? Like, if this is what you were going to do with him, like, why resign? He's making $23 million this year. $23 million to just DNP coach's decision, game in and game out. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. It's ridiculous. Steve Kerr is a buffoon to me. Like, I honestly, I used to think that guy was like one of the major impetuses for the success of Steph Curry and just Golden State in general during that dynasty. But just an outright buffoon, I think, in many instances. First of all, his steadfast support of Draymond Green through the years, that's just been baffling to me. And then with this Kaminga situation, I just don't understand what you're doing. Like, why the pettiness? Go to the front office and just say, do not retain this guy. Like, you're throwing $23 million away. Because again, like 18 games played this year, 13 games started for Kaminga, and now Kaminga's just done. He's checked out. He apparently Kerr was ready to start using him a few games ago, and Kaminga said, "Nah, see, now my back hurts, so now I'm not playing." So it's an absolute cancer right now. That the whole situation, it's just terrible. I feel like it's pulling the team down. They've got to move Kaminga. Go ahead, Gary.
Let me ask you about a potential trade proposal. I don't know. Tell me if this is asinine or not. For whatever reason, the Spurs have soured on Jeremy Sohan, who I think is a very good defender. He's only making $7 million. I want to say Kelly Olynyk is making $13 million, while Kaminga is making like 22. What about Olynyk and Sohan to the Warriors for Kaminga? Kaminga would fit in with the Spurs pretty well, wouldn't he?
I mean, I would like that. And
forward. He's 6'7".
He would sanction a trade to anywhere. He would go anywhere at this point. And look, I'm not altogether high on Kaminga, by the way. Like, I want to just make that known. Like, I don't think this guy is like some all-star in weight that is being, crushed by Steve Kerr or whatever. But I do think he's a starter in the NBA, certainly a starter for that team. And he should be getting minutes, especially if you're going to pay him $23 million a year. Like, personally, if I were Golden State, I would have either just let him walk or tried to find a trade for him like a year or two ago. So I don't know. It's just a puzzling situation. I don't know why the team was so adamant and played such hardball with him in the summer. Like, just let him walk. I mean, Isn't Steve Kerr, isn't he dialed in with I believe it's Mike Dunleavy Jr. at this point is the general manager. Like, first of all, Mike Dunleavy Jr., he's all of like 40 years old, I think. Maybe a couple years older. Let me just go ahead and check that out.
I don't know what. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I'm sorry. He's 45 years old. So I guess honestly, Gary, I'm showing my age, I guess, because I remember him playing in college. He was basically in college kind of around the same time as me. He's a couple years older than me, but I guess I'm showing my age.
Hold on. Breaking news here. I don't know what is going on. The Spurs and Bucks just concluded. I'm not even kidding. Giannis and Wembanyama are sitting at half court after the game is over, looking like they are having a business meeting. Like they are looking intently. They're covering their mouths. They're talking about something very intently. Like you guys don't know each other. What are you talking about here? Could there be something on the? I vote. I said I don't want Giannis to go to the Spurs for Stephon Castle and to gut the roster, but I do extend that same trade to the Warriors, to the Bucks for Kelly Olynyk, Jeremy Sohan, and we'll throw in Jordan McLaughlin and the Hawks draft pick this year for Giannis. What do you think about that? Would the Bucks take that?
I don't think so, but they would. Look, you can. There are packages you can put together while retaining Stephon Castle and Victor Wembanyama. There are packages that exist,
right?
And right. Would there be anybody else that would be untouchable in your estimation other than Stephon Castle and Victor Wembanyama if it not only netted you Giannis Antetokounmpo for this year but beyond? Like what if Giannis what if I said to you Giannis was going to play the next 7 years with San Antonio Spurs? Is there anybody else that would be untouchable other than Vic and Stephon for you?
I'm on the brink about Dylan Harper. I love his potential as well. If De'Aaron Fox was younger, I would say keep him, but because he's older, I'm much more willing to part with him because, and this is my whole thing, we're the only team that's like constructed for the next 10 to 12 years to compete with OKC, who can be really, really deep and effective. That's why I want to keep that youth because OKC is so young. If we start giving away our youth to get some older players, then we'll probably win a championship, but they're going to win more and they're going to be stronger overall for a longer period. Where the Spurs, we're constructing a team to be able to compete and possibly beat OKC, not just once or twice, but be able to go in there and beat them on a regular basis. And we may be the only team who's constructed to do that.
This is why I would say that things will have changed for me. Initially, I disagreed with you when the prospect of trading for Giannis came up. I thought that they should have done it. Then I came around with you onto your side, and now I'm going to have to disagree with you again. I'm partially disagree with you. I think that I do agree that Stephon Castle is an absolute stud, and he's untouchable, and you can't move him. Other than that, the Spurs are closer, I think, than anyone could have anticipated them being at this time. Like, you don't have to wait for 4 or 5 years.
No, I'm not saying them. No, I'm talking about right now, 2025, 2026, all the way up until, 2035 to 2040. Now, until then, the entire next 10 to 15 years is what I'm getting. Now, I don't think they're going to win it this year, but starting next year. And the reason I'm saying this is what I pointed out. A team is really serious when they start on a regular basis. They can blow out mediocre competition. The Spurs were not doing that. Well, they did do it day one against the Mavericks. Since then, they blew leads to the Brooklyn Nets and the Pelicans and to the Heat and to the Raptors in like the first 5 games of the season. I'm not comfortable. They should be blowing these teams out. Then they went on a stretch where they beat the Lakers. Then they barely beat the Thunder. Then they blew out the Wizards, blew out the Hawks. Then they blew out the Thunder. Then they beat the Wizards again convincingly by like 13. Then they beat the Thunder again convincingly. And at that point, I was like, okay, now they're looking at like a real team. Then they got blown out by the damn Jazz. I'm like, what? And then the Trailblazers. I'm like, what is going on? They're so inconsistent. That's why I'm not confident that they'll win it this year. But starting next year, once they can do what they did tonight on a regular basis, because that's what OKC started doing. Last year, you saw it on a regular basis. They're blowing out inferior competition. You cannot, champions don't let inferior competitions sit there and like and come back, and sometimes even come back for a victory or make you sweat. Like the Wizards should not be pushing OKC. Like the OKC should just be blowing them out. If the Wizards, if you're struggling to beat the Wizards, you're not a championship team yet. You should be blowing them out. Teams like that.
Now, Gary, you did think that the Denver Nuggets were a championship team last year.
What?
You did think that the Denver Nuggets were a championship team last year. You thought that they could compete with and potentially beat the Thunder.
No, I said I thought the Thunder would win. I said, but if anybody could beat them, it would be the Nuggets. I said the Nuggets are the best. I only
bring this up because the Oklahoma City, because the Denver Nuggets played the Wizards 2 times last year and lost both games. That's the only reason
you know what? I'm talking about inferior competition. The Wizards are just the first team to come to mind when I think about crap competition. I said that if Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. were both consistent, that they could beat the Thunder, but I didn't think they would be consistent, and they weren't. I said that the Thunder, I said the Nuggets can beat anybody if Jamal Murray and Porter Jr. are consistently making their shots, and I stand by that.
Let me just cut you off for a second. This is why I disagree with you on the Giannis thing and why I would want him in San Antonio. Nothing is ever guaranteed in sports. Not even. I know that the Spurs look very good right now. I know that it looks like their future is very bright, and they do have a bunch of very young players. But like, I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is a top 15 to 17 all-time player. Like top 15 to 17 all-time. And he is still, without a doubt to me, a top 3 player in the NBA right now. I know you look at him as this old, like over-the-hill guy. He just turned 31. Like he turned 31 in December. So like he's barely a month into his 31st birthday. Like, he has several years of elite play left, like not just good play. Like he's going to be a top 3 player for several years. I know you think also of De'Aaron Fox being old. He's 28. So like, I get they're older than these other players, but yes, you could sit back and say the Spurs can already compete with Oklahoma City right now, i.e. their 3-1 record against them currently. But just sitting back and hoping that these pieces continue to evolve, and then also that you can contractually retain all of these pieces, like there's some speculation there. So like, I understand that you're speculatively thinking that the Spurs could get to a point without doing anything and without trying to shake it up and without getting Giannis Antetokounmpo. Well, and look, just you can turn around what I'm saying right now on me and say same thing back to me. Nothing is guaranteed. But I'll tell you this. If the Spurs, let's say, traded Devin Vassell and Harper and Dylan Harper and like 2 or 3 first-round picks and brought in Giannis Antetokounmpo to pair with Fox, Wembanyama, I'm just saying, like, that team is the odds-on favorite this year. Seeing what they did already with the way it is with Vic for half of the game in 3 of those games. Like, if you add Giannis to that core, like, they would be the odds-on favorite to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder right now.
I can tell you that. What did you tell me when you're watching the Thunder and the Spurs? What did you say about the Spurs? What kind of team did you say they were? When they were beating the hell out of the defensive team. You said this is a super team.
Wait, the Spurs are a super team?
Yeah, that's what you told me. on a text. You said
well,
that's
they're not
they're
a super.
team.
They're not a super team by the traditional definition of they're stacking guys
No,
from
they're
different
it's the
places.
way they drafted.
But Gary, how many top 3 or 4 overall picks do they have on this team? Like 4?
No, I had another point I was driving.
But how many though? What do they have? 4 top 4 picks?
How many top picks do they have?
How many top 4 overall picks do they have on this roster?
Wembanyama, Castle, and Harper. I think that's it. 3. With De'Aaron Fox, but he didn't get drafted by them. But what was he? Was he the second pick?
He was like 5th or 6th, but still a very, very high. Yes,
right.
They have a litany of like top 10 picks on this roster. So like, and they hit on all of these picks. So like, I'm not saying that like it's not a super team that they dragged all of these players on. I'm saying
no, you were giving them props, saying, "Damn, they have drafted. They are a really good team." That's what you were getting at, and this was my point. Vessel by himself, Keldon Johnson by himself, them alone with Wembanyama are nothing special. But when you put them with Stephon Castle and Harper and De'Aaron Fox, and you just keep rotating those high energy guys in and out, and they all play good defense, it is like what you said. They're a super team. That's why they punched the Thunder in the mouth, because the Thunder are not used to a bunch of young, high energy guys coming at them. So even though Vassell and Keldon, they're not all-stars, but they're really good role. Now that they have more depth, those guys are so much more valuable. They keep coming and going and rotating guys in and out, and it's beautiful to see. This is the way the game is supposed to be played. So that's my point, is the depth. And I'm just afraid that if you bring Giannis in, you're going to do away. What happens if you do away with all that depth? Now, if Giannis and Wemby are both healthy, the sky is the galaxy is the limit. But what happens if you gut your youth and then Wemby or Giannis goes down? They're not gonna be able to compete. That's the thing, and they're both injury prone, and that's what's scary. When you have so much depth, you can withstand injuries so much better, like OKC can. If 1 or 2 guys go down, they got new guys to rotate and go. Just like Devin Vessel right now, he's out. And before tonight, we lost two games, and we missed Vessel's presence. I really think De'Aaron Fox. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with everything you're saying. It's just Giannis Antetokounmpo is just a special player to me. He's one of 3 players ever in league history that have won an MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year award. He had about a 5-year stretch where he was first team All-NBA and first team All-NBA defense every year. I think his defense has waned a bit in recent years. Some of that is because of a lot of that is because of all of the weight that he has to carry offensively. I think if you it's a risk. Like you're right. The injury concerns are real for Giannis now at this point, and definitely for Victor Wembanyama. But like, Giannis Antetokounmpo is a generational talent who is also one of the great defensive players ever. He won a Defensive Player of the Year and an MVP in the same season. He's one of the great defensive players ever, and Victor Wembanyama will be, if healthy, one of the great defensive players ever. If you put those 2 guys in the front court together, and their ability to roam and play guards even too at their size, and the switchability and everything, like, that is a terrifying team if it works out. But you're right, it is an if, it's a risk. So I guess there's no right or wrong, and I wasn't intending to talk about this, but you kind of brought up that they were having They were
like a business meeting,
a powwow at center court.
Right. Jay, what are they talking about? What are they talking about? They're in separate cities. They don't know each other. I mean, why? They're talking like there was purpose to their discussion. It wasn't just like, oh, dapping up. Oh, good game, brother. How's the family? It wasn't like that. There was intent and purpose. And that's why I interrupted you and told you about it. What else could there be? I'm thinking there may be a trade on the horizon. I told you, Jeremy Sohan and Kelly Olynyk. I'm all for that.
We'll see. They're going to have to give up at least Devin Vassell and or Dylan Harper. I'd say at least one, but likely both. But we'll see. And maybe they won't. Maybe the Spurs will. Maybe they'll hold to their guns and say, look, these specific guys are untouchable. We'll trade certain assets, but like none of the ones that we really covet. And we'll give you like every draft pick known to man that we have for the next like 8 years. And that's it. Take it or leave it. So, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Again, I don't believe, no matter what happens, I don't believe it's going to happen this year. It's going to be too complex of a deal. It's likely to have to include a third team or maybe even a fourth team as well. I think this smells more to me like an off-season kind of in the summer type deal, right, that will get executed. So I think we're going to have to wait through the year. And Giannis, unfortunately, is going to just waste another year of his prime now, unfortunately for him, because I think he's a class act and an all-time great player. I think very, very highly of him, as you and anyone else that knows me or my channel knows that I think very extraordinarily high of him. Speaking of someone else that I do think kind of high of, Gary.
You know what, Jay? Hold on, Jay. You know what? I want to answer this for you, and then you can respond. Midwest Eddie TV, why don't you freaking watch the channel? Because this is bullshit. This dude does not talk shit about SGA. You need to pull your head out of your ass. This dude is just simply saying SGA does not deserve the MVP over Jokic, which he doesn't. Saying that someone's not as good as Jokic doesn't mean they don't like him. He's just tired of the media manipulating the masses, acting as if SGA is somehow better than Jokic when he clearly is not. Why don't you pay attention and actually watch the channel instead of talking shit? And that's all I have to say about that. And what do you have to say, Mr. Skap?
Well, thank you, Gary, for that passionate defense. Thank you, Midwest Eddie TV. Thank you, Midwest Eddie TV, for the question. But yes, just to echo what Gary said, and just to speak to anyone out there that thinks that I hate on SGA or that I dislike SGA, I don't dislike him at all. In fact, you know when I dislike someone or if I think little of someone, because I will there will be videos that called out like SGA craps his pants, or SGA chokes in the clutch, or SGA gets carried again, or SGA rides the bus one more time. And then I will have like crap or ass or bum or loser next to their faces on some thumbnail of that video. I have never done any of the above to SGA. I have made, in fact, 2 years ago, I made a video, and I would challenge you, Eddie TV. I would challenge you to go and find it. I made a video about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and on that thumbnail, Michael Jordan is on the thumbnail with him. Okay. And in the video, this is 2 years ago, I compare SGA to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. And in that video say that SGA is going to be kind of like the next one to follow in the lineage, the footsteps of Michael and Kobe. Those are the kind of videos I was making about SGA. Like, the problem with SGA is, though, he has reached a point where he is overrated. He is a great player, and he is arguably the second best player in the NBA today. I would say he's 2 or 3, but he's definitely undeniable top 3, very arguably and realistically 2, and I wouldn't push back with you if you say 2. But he is still, though, overrated because he stole an MVP from Nikola Jokic last year. And still, I see these things like with the Nuggets' recent run. I see these things about like how Jokic has this great team, and about how there's comparisons about how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doesn't have even as much help as Nikola Jokic. It's outrageous. Let me try to explain something to those of you that are watching right now or that might see this at some point, and Midwest Eddie TV. The Nuggets have offensive players. So there are players that will put up numbers in stretches of time. And now this year, really, this is different than any other year, but this year in particular, guys are putting up extraordinary numbers offensively. But there's more ways to have help or support than just offensive numbers. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has his support defensively in the fact that he has like the best defense in NBA history. And if you look at how many points they give up per 100 possessions versus the relative average league wide, that is the best defense ever right now, because they have like 5 to 7 all NBA defensive caliber players on that team. So like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like, yeah, you can't say, oh, well, Jamal Murray's scoring 25 points per game right now and 7 assists a game. Like in the last, 8 games, Peyton Watson's averaging like 24, 25 points per game. Like, yes, you cannot go to the Oklahoma City Thunder and say, oh, look, there's 2 players averaging 25 points per game that aren't named SGA. Yes, but they don't need to score that many points to beat the opponents that they're playing, because the 5 to 7 better defenders on that team than Shai are defending the shit out of the opposing team, holding them to 33% shooting like tonight in the Houston Rockets, and only 91 points. So Shai doesn't need much help offensively. Shai doesn't have to do anything defensively. He just has to score his 30 points a game and go about his way and collect 68 games last year and get the MVP and then go win the NBA championship. And all of this, despite the fact, if you look at the net rating without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the floor, they're one of the best teams in the entire NBA. I don't want to spend too much time on the Shai versus Jokic thing, but let me just say this because I did look this up right before I came on air tonight. The Oklahoma City Thunder, I look at these on-offs a lot, and I explain it at nauseum in my videos, but let me just explain it again real quick right now. On-offs are the amount they take every single second that a specific player plays on the court all year long, and they take every single second that a player plays is not on the floor, is on the bench. So they take every single second, they aggregate that out and turn it into a neat, tidy number per 100 possessions. There are roughly, I think, like 101 to 102 possessions right now in the NBA this year. So per 100 possession rate is roughly 1 game. So what do they do with Shai on and with Shai off? What do the Nuggets do with Jokic on and with Jokic off? The Denver Nuggets right now, even after this crazy run, these last 10 games where everyone's losing their mind and talking about the Nuggets as a super team, right now the Denver Nuggets are minus 3.7 net rating without Jokic this season. Okay, they are a plus 12 net rating with Jokic on the floor. That is a 15-point net swing with Nikola Jokic on versus off of the court. With Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on, they're plus 16 net rating. That is higher than Jokic's individual. But like the Nuggets are minus 3.7 without Nikola, the Thunder are plus 7 without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So that's a net swing of only 9. So while Jokic is he's adding 15 points net rating versus on to off, SGA is only adding 9 versus on to off. Nikola Jokic is much more valuable than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has a much better team than Nikola Jokic. I know, because it's numbers, it's math, it's irrefutable. It's every second. It's not like I'm looking at a couple flukish games where they're playing teams under 500 every single night and barely beating them by like 3 or 4 points. I'm looking at a per 100 extrapolation of every second. The Denver Nuggets without Nikola Jokic are minus 3.7 net rating. That's like a 35-win team, if that. The Oklahoma City Thunder are a plus 7 net rating. That's like the second best net rating in the entire NBA right now. The Houston Rockets have the second best net rating. It's like 7.2. So the Thunder are like the second best team in the league without Shai on the floor. Extrapolate it out per 100 possessions, okay? So I'm not hating on Shai. He is a great player. He's the second best player on earth. He ain't better than Jokic, and he's not the most valuable player. He's not this year, and he wasn't last year. So I'm not hating on anybody. I'm just trying to put it in the proper context because of all of the ridiculousness that I see on the internet and stuff. See, in case you haven't caught up to it, Midwest Eddie, I kind of talk against certain narratives that I disagree with, good or bad, like the LeBron narrative that has been good for him. Like I've talked against that for my whole life, really. But since I joined YouTube like 2.5 years ago and started making videos, and now like I don't dislike Shea the way I dislike LeBron, but yet Shea is still reached a point where he's overrated. And I've just seen this narrative all last year about how his value and this value and how his value compares to Jokic. And now this year I'm seeing how his team is worse than Jokic's all of a sudden because of these last 9 or 10 games. It's just not reality. So I'm just pushing against it with real, concrete, actual context and like math and numbers. So it's not hate. I'm just providing some context. I hope that helps Midwest Eddie and everybody else who think that I dislike Shea or that I'm hating on Shea. And Gary, thank you again for your passionate defense of me. The Jupiter Knight is back. He was on last night or the night before, whenever we were on last. Gary, what does this one say from the Jupiter Knight? And thank you for coming back and joining us here on the live and for supporting us. Thank you very much.
Salute Jupiter Knight, a fellow Spurs fan. Jupiter, are the Spurs your favorite team or do you just like them? I saw a comment. He said, go Spurs, go earlier. Okay, he says, moving screen, Draymond Green never fouls out.
Yeah, well, he doesn't really foul out, but he does get thrown out of a lot of games. I think I saw a patch of games like earlier this season, a couple games back where he had like not finished like 5 of the 6 games that they had played because he got like ejected in 4 of the games for like accruing 2 technicals during the game, and then of course he walked off the court and just sent himself into the locker room a couple games back as well. That was in the midst of all of those ejections. So yeah, he might not foul out too frequently, but he certainly doesn't finish games very frequently because, well, he just is a dirty player. He's one of the dirtiest players, I think, in NBA history. And he's made a career out of it. But thank you, Jupiter Knight. I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate you coming in. And we have the Incorruptible
Jupiter's been a Spurs fan since 1982.
Oh, wow. Jupiter Knight. Wow.
A real NBA fan in here. So I'll keep that in mind. You got to change your avatar. It's an anime avatar. You got to put a Spurs avatar.
Right. And an anime guy, for someone who's been a Spurs fan since 1982, I would imagine then that he was born in the 70s. Maybe before that even.
Right.
If he is a Spurs fan since 1982. Hell, I'm an old man, and that's before I was even born.
You're not old. You're younger than me, and I'm not old. So I don't want to hear that BS talk.
Gary, I hate to break it to you, my friend. We're both old.
I am young. I'm still a teenager, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, Gary, I respect your delusion, but yes, I am an old man. And I, though, was born after the Jupiter Knights started becoming a fan of the San Antonio Spurs. Not very far after, but after nonetheless.
Oh, Jupiter was born in 82.
Oh, get out of here, Jupiter Knight. Jupiter Knight, get out of here with that. You weren't a Spurs fan in 1982.
1982, born and raised in Del Rio, Texas. And he said, I was born in 82. I was a Spurs fan since I was born. There you go.
Get out of here, Jupiter Knight. You don't remember watching games of the Spurs in 1982. Look, I was born.
Family, he was born into it. That's what I'm talking about.
I say I was born and raised a Steeler fan, or like because I was born in Pittsburgh. We've talked a lot of football. We've talked a lot of football over the last couple of days or whatever, several days on this channel and in a live stream. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, so I was born and raised a Steeler fan, like born into it. But like, if you ask me how long I've been a Steeler fan, I would either say like lifelong Steeler fan or like maybe around like 90, 94, like 93, 94, because I was like 8 or 9 then. And that's when I could first vividly recall watching games and feeling fandom and feeling like I was being affected by the outcomes of the games and stuff. So I would look, When I was 4 years old, I don't remember doing anything. I certainly don't remember watching Pittsburgh Steelers games. But I appreciate the hustle, Jupiter Knight. I respect what you're putting down there.
Real quick, you know how I became a Cowboys fan? When I was like, it's like 1981, 82. I was like 5, 6 years old. I saw their uniforms. I loved the uniforms. And I've loved the team ever since. Hate what Jerry Jones has done the last 30 years, but I'm loyal. I still love Dallas. I still to this day think they have the greatest uniforms in all the sports.
Well,
so
Gary,
that's how
I have suffered. I would say I've suffered just numerous heartaches and heartbreaks throughout my lifetime of sports fandom. It basically it makes me wonder why I continue to do this to myself, subject myself to this, the sports. But again, it's just we are to a degree born with it, or born with the passion of it, I suppose. But there's too many to even count. I remember in my lifetime in general, I remember the bad more than the good. I don't know if that's just me or if that's everybody in life, that negative, bad things kind of resonate more, or they're more impactful to you than good or positive things. But for me, at least in sports as well, that applies, because I remember the bads and the negatives and the failures more than I do the positives and the goods, unfortunately. And one of my real first heartaches. Now, I really remember watching the Steelers for the first time in like 93 or 94. I remember them losing at home in the AFC Championship game to the Chargers as a pretty hefty favorite. I think they were like 9-point favorites, 8.5, 9-point favorites at home in the AFC Championship game against the Chargers. Of course, the Chargers then went into the Super Bowl the next 2 weeks later and got absolutely waxed by the Niners, just blown to pieces. It was that Steve Young Super Bowl where he finally got that monkey off the back, so to speak, and he finally won that Super Bowl to validate his career and kind of get out of the shadow finally of Montana. But then the next year, I really upped my Steeler fandom, and I hung on every single game, and we got all the way into the Super Bowl that year against your Dallas Cowboys, and that was truly my first bit of like bitter and undeniable heartache and heartbreak. I remember weeping into my terrible towel at the end of that game, a game that my Steelers dominated your Cowboys. They outgained them. They outpossessed them. They won in every single aspect that you can win a football game in, except for the final score, because of Neil freaking O'Donnell. Gary, right now, you can't see it, but he is offering me a tissue from his tissue box right now. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, but no thank you. I shed my tears in the terrible towel that night already for that game. Yeah, Neil O'Donnell, I believe it was Larry Brown or so. Is that right, Gary?
Yeah, that was the MVP of that game.
Larry Brown, who picked O'Donnell off twice and returned one for a tutty, a pick six. So yes, I've hated the Cowboys pretty much ever since that night. So I can't. Now I kind of like Tony Romo. So when he was playing, I can't stand him now as a broadcaster, but so I did kind of root for them during the Tony Romo years. And I guess I don't really have anything against them now, but I hated those Aikman teams because of that 95 Super Bowl in Tempe, Arizona, or wherever that was. And that was a great Cowboys team. Obviously, they won three out of like four. I think 3 out of 4, right?
Yeah, we won 3 out of 4. So this is to sum it all up. Here's what it comes down to: you were born, and your father was a big sports fan. My mother was actually a big football fan, and Jupiter Knight, I'm assuming someone in his family was a big Spurs fan. So they kind of get us into it. So we kind of feel like we were born into it when your family are fans.
Now we've got a couple more super chats here to get to, but I just want to jump ahead real quick in the rundown, because the Jupiter Knight, we've been talking Jupiter Knight, and he's back in. So I just want to throw him up and see what this next one is, if it's pertaining to what we're talking about his lifelong fandom.
Yeah, I got a picture with Matt Bonner alongside my infant son, printed it, and got him to autograph it. Took 2 games to do that.
Nice.
That's
nice.
the Red Mamba.
Exactly right. That Jupiter night, that is a very cool story. Thank you for sharing that. And I guess being a lifelong fan of them, that it's been pretty good. I must say, Gary, like that's. I mean, how long have you been a fan?
I became a fan I started watching. The only teams I knew were Lakers and Celtics in like the late 80s. And I watched the Lakers and Celtics in the finals. For whatever reason, I liked Magic Johnson and the Lakers. Then I watched the Pistons when they started battling with the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I said, you know what? I think the Pistons are my new favorite team. So it was the Lakers. Then it went to Pistons because I liked them. The Lakers beat the Pistons in the finals. I was like, I hope we get them next year. I was a Pistons fan. Then the Pistons beat them the next year. I was all happy. And then one day I was just like, you know what? I kind of need to see if there are any other teams out here because I only know Pistons, Celtics, and Lakers. And so the playoffs were on. This was in like 1990. And the Trailblazers were playing the Spurs, two new teams to me. Game 7 of round 2. And I watched the Spurs, and I don't know what happened. I fell in love with them like as that game went on. They lost in overtime. I almost cried in a terrible towel from a team when I woke up that morning didn't even know existed. I was in love with the Spurs by that game, and all I said was, I can't wait till next year. We're going to get them. That's the year the Trailblazers went to the finals and lost to the Pistons. Then the next year, we lost in the first round, got upset by Golden State, run TMC, ran all over us, and I'm like, what the heck just happened? And that's when Jordan won the championship and when the Bulls dynasty began. And so it was just a whole struggle through the 90s with the Spurs, and I've loved them since 1990.
So both you and the Jupiter Night, like you've been with them before the real success.
Yeah.
So, but then you had several years of excellence then as a reward. Like you won whatever 7 in 20 years or 5 in like 18 years.
And real quick, just kind of real quick funny story. Remember Robinson in the 94-95 season won MVP. The Spurs went 62-20. Had Dennis Rodman. Bob Hill was coaching. And I was a senior in high school, and I was so excited. I'm like, I really think we're finally going to win this championship. Jordan's gone. He's out of the way. We're finally going to do it. And, the playoffs take place like right around when graduation, the Western Conference, and then the finals right around that time. Well, I remember like as I was graduating, there were so many adults around me. Congratulations. And they would tell you, man, you have just matured. Gary, you're so much more mature now at 18 than, obviously when you're 14, 15, 16. We're so proud of you, this and that. And then the Spurs lost. I had a meltdown, reverted back to a toddler. I was kicking stuff like a child. I was pouting. I was pissed off because the Spurs got their asses annihilated by the Rockets. I was so mad and embarrassed because I threw a temper tantrum in front of all these people who had been telling me how mature I had become. I'm like, no, I'm not that mature. I'm still actually pretty immature when it comes to the Spurs.
I have a kind of a similar, not really all that similar necessarily, because I wasn't around anyone, because I refused to go out and do anything the night I graduated from high school because the Western Conference Finals were on, and my Lakers, I was a humongous Kobe Bryant fan, obviously, and a huge Laker fan. And my Lakers in 2002, so yes, I graduated high school in 2002, were in, of course, the Western Conference Finals against the Sacramento Kings. They were down 2-1 in what was a pivotal must-win game, because if they go down 3-1, they're not going to win that series. They're not going to three-peat. So I refused to even go out after my graduation. I had to get home and in seclusion and the solitude of my own room, watch that game 4 play out, in which they were trailing by 20 points in the third quarter of. And I was obviously devastated and distraught. But that game, Gary, ended up being the Robert Horry 3 game where he hit the game-winning 3-point buzzer beater at the very end of the game.
I
That
remember
was that game where they were down. They were trailing like 22 or 23 points early in the third, and it looked like they were going to be down 3-1 in there.
Are you sure that was game? I thought that was game 5. I thought
Game 4. Nope, game 4. That was game 4, and then game 5 was a Mike Bibby buzzer beater to put them up 3-2. So the Kings. So that Ori shot tied it 2-2. Then Bibby beats the buzzer in game 5 in Arco to put them up 3-2. Then the Lakers went back to game 6. That was the Tim Donaghy game where the controversial free throw differential in the 4th for the Lakers. The Lakers win game 6 to tie it at 3. Then they go in back to Arco and beat the Kings in overtime in game 7 to then go on in 3-peat. So yes, I am positive, Gary, that was game 4.
Oh, okay. Do you remember what I thought it was that game Horry hit? I thought it was a Sunday night. Was it not a Sunday night?
2002 West Conference. I mean, it very well might have been, Gary. All I know is it was the day that I graduated.
You graduated, but you wouldn't have graduated on a Sunday.
Yes, of course. Of course I could have. You kidding me?
Graduate. All our graduations, we don't do stuff like that in Florida on Sundays.
Oh no, yeah, many of those ceremonies take place on Sundays.
Really?
And
okay.
where I come from.
Why did you watch it isolated?
But yes, Gary, wait, hang on, real quick.
Okay.
Game 4, May 26th, 2002. Lakers 100-99 was the final.
Right.
So that was. Again, they got outscored 40-20 in the first quarter. So,
wow.
Yeah, so they were down. They were down 40-20 after 1. And yeah, they come all the way back to win that game. Again, 100-99. In that game, it was Kobe Bryant had 25, Shaquille O'Neal had 27. But of course, the big shot was Robert Horry, who he actually added 18 in that game, and a huge shot. But then, yes, this series was nuts, Gary. It was 106-99. Lakers won game 1. Then the Kings won 96-90 in game 2. Remember, this game was in Arco. The Kings actually had home court advantage in this. So the Lakers won game 1 in Arco. Then the Kings tied it. The Kings then won game 3 on the road, 103-90. Then that Robert Horry game, 100-99. Then, like I said, Bibby, the next game, beats the buzzer 92-91. The Kings beat the Lakers. Then the Lakers go back and win that one, 106-102 at home in LA. Again, the controversial official game. But then, look, the Kings still had the backdrop of being at home in Arco in game 7. And that game went into overtime. Lakers 112-106. They win it in Arco. Just a crazy. Shaquille O'Neal had 35 points. Kobe had 30. Kobe had 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists in that game. And Shaq had 35. So the two of them had 65 points of those 112. Coming off the bench that night, Gary, for the LA Lakers in game 7 at Arco, 5 total points. Lindsey Hunter scored 3 points, and Slava Medvedenko had 2. That's it. Those were the only bench points for the Lakers that night. That was back in a day, Gary, where men were men, and like the best player or the 2 best players always seemingly won in the NBA. Now it's like, how deep is your team? Like, how many guys do you have? Like, can you go 9, 10, 11 deep? Like, it wasn't like that back in the day. Like, it was like that, what I just read off in that game 7. But yes, anyway, sorry. We really ran down a rabbit hole of us in high school.
No, but that's good. That's what makes for an interesting conversation.
Which, Gary, by the way, again, to recap, you graduated high school in what year again?
95.
And I graduated in 02. So just to recap, we are both very old. So I just want to confirm.
Skap is old. I'm young.
Next in, we've got the incorruptible irregular, obviously. Welcome in, my friend. Thank you for joining us as always and for supporting us here on the stream. I appreciate you. Gary, what does the incorruptible have for us tonight?
Wemby and Giannis together surpass Tim and the Admiral. I don't know about that.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know. So it's let me think here. Robinson and Duncan got 2 rings together. Is that right? Two of Duncan's 5 came with David Robinson, right?
Yeah.
And while Tim Duncan was elite the whole time, because he was like already MVP caliber basically when he came into the NBA. He played, remember,
he played 4 years.
He played all 4 years in college. So he played 4
Right.
years at Wake Forest. He came in as like a 22-year-old, established, ready to go kind of player. I believe he was 2nd team All-NBA his rookie year and 1st team All-NBA defense his rookie year. And then the second year, of course, won the NBA championship, was finals MVP. And David Robinson was still good like the first year. He was still kind of like serviceable. I think he made 1 All-Star playing with Tim Duncan. So he was still good. But I don't know. I think the Incorruptible might be onto something here, because I think Giannis and Wemby, if they play together now, they would be more elite, each of them, than Robinson and Duncan. And I think also they would probably have a chance to surpass that 2-ring count. So that isn't as crazy as it sounds by the Incorruptible, actually.
Oh, no, I don't think it sounds crazy. I just, I guess what I'm thinking about is the totality of all 4 careers. So that's kind of what I was getting at. But now if you say prime Wemby and prime Giannis together versus prime Duncan and then like past his prime Admiral, then yeah, I could see that. But imagine David Robinson in his prime with prime Tim.
Yeah,
Duncan.
Robinson was an absolute stud. I don't think, unfortunately, like I think his career wasn't quite that long, because he didn't come in the NBA till he was much older. I think what was David was Robinson like 23 or 24?
He was older when he came in the league in 90 because he was in the Navy.
Correct. So yes, he was only he was 24 already when he played his first. So he was drafted in 87, 88. He didn't come into the NBA till 89, 90 because he fulfilled his military obligation for the Navy. So David Robinson was 24 years old when he first entered the league, and he was rookie of the year that year. He finished 6th in MVP. He was All-NBA 3rd team and All-NBA defensive 2nd team in that first year. Then by his 2nd year, age 25, he made it an even bigger jump, finished 3rd in league MVP voting. He was 2nd in defensive player of the year voting. He was 1st team All-NBA and 1st team All-NBA defense. So, and then look, he hurt his back like pretty early on, actually, into his career. Like not early because he was 31 years old when he did it, but he didn't start playing until he was 24. So like he hurt his back, and then he really wasn't the same after that, honestly. He had like 2 other pretty good seasons, but that's just about it. So like his peak was so limited, but like in the prime window that he had, basically age 24 to 30-ish, I mean, that peak is as good as almost anybody's peak. So yeah, I get what you're saying. And like prime Duncan and prime, and that Robinson would just be, they would be an absolute.
Well, like 1994, David Robinson, when he was MVP. And the year before that, he won the scoring title, and he scored 71 points in that the very last game of the season to edge out Shaq, because they were virtually tied for who was going to average the most points. And so Robinson hit 71, and Shaq had like 32, but obviously that was not enough. So yeah, Robinson was a beast.
And I gotta, I think I have to go back and make an amends here. And I've been doing it. I've been saying this for years, Gary, that Hakeem Olajuwon and Giannis Antetokounmpo and Michael Jordan are the only players to win an MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, but they're the only players to do it in the same year. David Robinson also has a league MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year award. So yeah, I mean, it's just his peak was insanely high. You're absolutely right about that. But Wemby and Giannis together would be pretty nasty too. Honestly, probably not even. I mean, I would probably say peak Tim Duncan. Look, we haven't seen peak Wembanyama yet. He's only like 23.
Right.
But so like, who knows what he could and might become. But like, as great as Giannis is, as high as I am on him, and as great as Wemby has been to this point in his career, right now, probably peak Robinson and peak Duncan are definitely better than peak Wemby and peak Giannis. Now maybe peak Wemby will become something even crazier because I don't think that kid's going to hit his peak for like another 3 or 4 years, probably.
Right. If Wemby stays healthy, we're going to see something we've never seen in the league before. I mean, it's going to be a sight to behold. I mean,
he certainly can be like one of the best defenders ever. Like I think of Bill Russell and Tim Duncan kind of as like the two best defenders. Wembanyama could definitely rival that.
He can destroy on offense as well. Like it can be so effortless for him when he's clicking, when he's doing things right. I don't think he quite has that mindset to attack consistently. And the thing is, he keeps borrowing from everybody on the off season. He keeps trying to up his game. So one of these off seasons, he's going to be like, I'm going to learn to be more aggressive and get that Mamba mentality. And if he does that, because he gets it in spurts, and it's scary as hell when he does it, but it's not consistent. And that's what separates from Kobe. Kobe was absolutely relentless. He never, ever let up. Him and Jordan, they never let up on you. It didn't matter what the score was. They never let up. Wemby lays back at times. But if Wemby adopts that real aggressive Mamba mentality and stays healthy, he's going to be right up there with the very best who have ever touched a basketball.
Yeah.
But of course it depends on his health. I do believe
he'll big thing. I think I'm with you. If he can play like average like 70 games a year, like looking back, let's say like 15 years from now, if we look back and he averaged like 69, 70 games a year,
right,
he'll be a consensus top 10 player.
I'm thinking top 3. I'm thinking he'll be in the same breath as like Gordon and Wilt.
It's hard to say because we have to see what the results are, because like Jokic is probably a top 3 player all time, but I can't even realistically put him there. No one can, because the results haven't been there. Like, and you can say that the results aren't there for whatever reason you want to say that, supporting cast, whatever, players, his best players getting injured, whatever. But the bottom line is he only has the 1 ring. So like, maybe the product of Wembanyama will be top 3, but like the results still have to be there as well in order to say top 3. I think though, if he just averages 69 to 70 games, the individual excellence alone, like with Jokic, will dictate that he's a top 10 player. Like, so even if the results aren't there for Jokic, he's going to fall tiers and slots, but I still think he's going to be top 10 all time when it's all said.
You want to hear something else crazy about the Spurs team? Castle is also going to be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year for the next decade. I'm not saying I don't know if he's ever going to win it, but my point is he's going to be a very good defender alongside Wembanyama and possibly even Carter Bryant. Looks like he's going to be an insanely good defender. He doesn't look like he's crap for offense, but he looks like I love Carter. You know why? Because he's a guy we'll be able to stick and harass SGA during the playoffs for a playoff series. He will harass the hell out of SGA. Him and Castle both. So that's why I love Carter Bryant.
I mean, I can't disagree. I can't disagree with any of that. Let's Gary, I see a football question coming up. So let's throw this over to, I want to say this is, I don't know.
Time Samuel. And look at the avatars. Cats, relaxing, drinking a nice glass of wine.
Time Samuel. Okay. I was going to say Ty Samuel, but I missed that M. And there's a cat with a glass of red wine, it looks like. I like that avatar very much, Time Samuel. And welcome in thank you for joining us here tonight. Thank you for the super chat here as well. I appreciate that. And thank you for taking us down an NFL topic here. I love to talk NFL football as well. So Gary, go ahead and what does this one say?
Yeah, this is a good question. Love your videos. I have A-Rod, at least top 5 quarterback ever. If this is it for him, where do you put him all-time quarterback? My top 5 quarterbacks are Montana, Brady, Elway, Marino, and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think very highly of Aaron Rodgers. Overall, he's undeniable top 10 for sure. The guy's numbers, honestly, his efficiency, it's just bananas how good this guy is and how good he was in his peak. I think he's has the #1 highest QB rating in NFL history, and his one league MVP, all of his league MVP seasons were crazy. But I want to find the one where, I mean, he had like 40 some touchdowns, like 3 picks one of those years in one of the MVPs. So yeah, okay, this is actually his first league MVP in 2011. 45 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. I mean, it's just ludicrous. And then his last MVP actually in 2020, which I think actually might, I don't know. No, I'm sorry. His second to last one. His last one was in 2021. And I thought Brady should have been the MVP in 2021. Brady led the NFL in yards and touchdowns that year in 2021. And I believe he had 1 fewer win than the Packers, despite the fact his receiving core was dropping like flies. That was the year Antonio Brown stripped in the middle of a game and walked off the field. Brady at like 44 led the league in touchdowns and yards that year. 2021, Rodgers got the MVP. I think it should have been Brady. But the year before that in 2020, Aaron Rodgers' season, arguably like the most efficient, ridiculous season I've ever seen. 48 touchdowns and 5 picks. Just an absolute ridiculous season right there. So look, 4 league MVPs kind of speak for itself. I think it is the most in NFL history. Outside of Peyton Manning has 5. Aaron Rodgers has the most ever other than Peyton Manning with 4. Look, ultimately though, he's only been to 1 Super Bowl. 1 Super Bowl, one Super Bowl. I don't necessarily blame Rodgers for any of that though. It does though take him down a couple notches for me. I think in my kind of ordering of players, Brady is #1 by far. Like it's not close. I don't think it will ever be close. Tom Brady will forever and always, in my estimation, be the greatest quarterback that's ever existed. I still have to put Joe Montana in there, likely a 2. The numbers aren't great. Obviously, he played in a different era. They're not great compared to the guys that play now, I should say. They were great back then, of course. But look, 4 Super Bowls and in 4 appearances, really, I mean, Joe Cool. Like, ultimately, I still have to have Montana in my top 2. After that, if we're just talking pure mastery of the game and excellence overall of the position, I still have Peyton Manning in my top 3. Peyton Manning, I mentioned him a second ago, 5 league MVPs. I honestly think it should be 6 because there was a year in there. I think it was the first year he went to Denver and he was the comeback player of the year after those neck fusion surgeries and he got cut in Indianapolis. And they won like 12 games that year. And Manning was the best quarterback in the NFL. I think he should have been the MVP that season. Adrian Peterson got it. He rushed for that was a year Peterson rushed for 2,000 yards and the Vikings won like 10 games. I think Manning could have easily won that MVP. That would have been 6. His playoff struggles have been highly publicized, of course. He still ultimately did, though, even amid all of his struggles, he won 14 playoff games, I believe. I think he's 14-13 in his postseason career is Peyton Manning. And he went to 4 Super Bowls with 4 different coaches. I don't think that could be understated. That is a remarkable achievement. He went to 2 Super Bowls twice in different franchises. And he won one with 2 different franchises as well. Something that we're likely not going to see again. So Peyton Manning still top 3 for me. So to me, those are fairly easy. Those are slam dunks to me. Those top 3 in Brady and Montana and Manning. I see that Time Samuel has Elway in there. I also am very high on Elway. I think he is also in my top. I would put him in my top 5. He would be like a lock. I would say still in my top 5, in my personal top 5. So then there's a bunch of guys vying for that 5th spot now. I think there is a case for Patrick Mahomes already to be in that spot. Now, I hate the fact that people are talking about Mahomes being the GOAT because it's not even remotely close to him and Brady. But like the fact that Mahomes right now, I think he's tied with Joe Montana for most playoff wins ever right now. Patrick Mahomes at like 29 years old. Let me just, so I don't make myself a liar, let me just look up most playoff wins as a QB in the NFL and just get the list. I'm pretty sure Manning was like 3rd. I think it was Brady by like a billion games, like 35 or 36. Then Montana with 16, then Manning with 14. I think Mahomes has come all the way up and is already like tied with Montana. I'm sorry, he has surpassed Montana already. I have the list up. Tom Brady with 35, which is, it's literally stupid that Tom Brady has 35 playoff wins. Like the greatest franchises in league history have around that many. Gary, your Cowboys have like 37 playoff wins total for their whole franchise. And they're like the most winning team ever in NFL history. Maybe they have like 38. Tom Brady himself has 35 in like a 19-year span playing football. It's absurd how good that is. But okay, so Brady has 35. Montana has 16. Manning has 14. Those are the top 3 other than Patrick Mahomes, who has 17. So Patrick Mahomes already has one more playoff win than Joe Montana and 2 league MVPs. So I think there is a viable case for Patrick Mahomes. See, and this goes back to the first question that led off my super chats tonight about why do you dislike SGA or why do you hate SGA? I don't. I'm just putting context on it. People think I hate Mahomes because I make these videos about how it ain't close. Stop it. Remove Tom Brady's name from your damn mouths. Anyone that thinks that Patrick Mahomes is close, it's not. But that doesn't mean that I don't think the world of Patrick Mahomes. Because, and look, I don't root for him. I root against it. I can't stand the Chiefs. I root against them every year. There's only 2 teams I root for less than the Chiefs. There's only 2 teams I dislike more than the Chiefs. That would be the Eagles and the Ravens. Other than that, the Chiefs are the team I root for the least. So, like, I don't like the Chiefs, but I respect Patrick Mahomes a whole lot. And I think he's a hell of a great player. And he's got a case to be top 5. Go ahead, Gary.
Is that the current Eagles and current Ravens, or have you always had a disdain for those particular franchises?
I've always hated the Ravens because, again, I'm a lifelong Steeler fan, and I just hate Baltimore in general. They're a division rival and a bitter foe. They always play us hard. It's always, there's no love lost in those games. And I hate Lamar Jackson. I really do. While I root against Patrick Mahomes and maybe dislike him, I love him as a player. I respect him a lot. Lamar Jackson is a bum to me. He is the most overrated player in NFL history at this point. I think he is on a LeBron tier in terms of overrating. So I just don't want them to succeed ever, because them succeeding will inevitably lead to more Lamar Jackson slurping. So I really dislike the current Ravens. Look, Gary, I'm from Pittsburgh. I went to Penn State. There is a big Penn State, a big Steeler-Eagles rivalry. I then lived in Philadelphia for like 5 years. So I have and will always dislike and root against Philadelphia, always. And then just now, I've had nothing against the Chiefs until now, mainly because again, I think Mahomes isn't close to Brady, and the more they succeed, the more they win, the closer he gets in the talk. So like those are the reasons why collectively I root against all three of those teams. But yes, I don't hate Mahomes. I think so. He probably would be, if you put a gun to my head, I might say he's top 5 already. Otherwise, I would say probably Unitas and Rodgers would be the next on my list then after. So they're the first out of my top 5, but very close and arguably in my top 5 over Mahomes. But being realistic, Mahomes will eventually get that top 5, and likely Mahomes, if I'm being honest, will probably surpass every player ever other than Brady. I think he likely will, at the end of the day, probably be considered above Montana as well. I mean, if look, it's going to take more. He's got to win. He's got 3 Super Bowls already. So like if he gets one more, he's already equaled Montana's, and he's been to 5 already. So like if he goes and wins another one, he really is probably ultimately going to be the closest thing to Tom Brady. It just ain't close. So like that's the thing. Like he will be
is just
above everybody else but Tom Brady. Yeah. But great question time, Samuel. And thank you again for allowing us to talk some football. Next, and we've got XBTWXDX. Just loves making me say it. Is there some, you don't have to super chat again, but XBTWXDX. Go to like the regular chat if there's some way I should be saying this, or Gary, if you know of some way that I should be, like if it should be phonetically said differently or something, let us know. XB, I'll just call you XB. But if this should be like said differently or pronounced differently, let me know. But thank you very much for coming back in here. I know, did he come in? No, I thought maybe he was. Oh, wait, here we go. Let me just put this up. Barkley never admitted. Okay, so this is actually. Oh wait, Betwixt. The Incorruptible is just answering that question on our behalf. So Betwixt is the way that this should be said. So okay, that sounds much better than just rambling out all those letters. So Betwixt. Thank you very much. Hopefully that is right, and I'm not just taking. Oh, XB is fine. No, okay. Now XB answers back here. And says XB is fine, homie. Okay, then XB it is. Incorruptible. Stop assuming that you know how to say this guy's handle. All right, so we've got XB. What's up, brother? Thank you so much for your generous donation here. Gary, what does XB have for us?
Skap, your net rating take needs more context. What's the net ratings this year for Lakers without Luka, Wolves without Ant, etc.? I'd argue Nuggets third best supporting cast in the West behind Spurs and OKC.
Well, let's take a look, XB. Let me go. Now, I'm going to have to, I hate to research things while I'm on this stream, but it's going to take just a quick moment. First of all, I go to PBP stats. It is a tremendous tool. That's what I use for these net ratings. So let me just look for the ones that you've asked for. Let me look at the Lakers without, again, for Nikola Jokic, with him on the floor. Now, net rating is how many points you outscore your opposition by per 100 possessions. So with Jokic on the floor this year, per 100 possessions, they're 12 points better than their opposition. With him off the floor, they're minus 3.6. So, all right, you wanted to see, and I did SGA. They were plus 16 with SGA, but they were plus 7 without SGA. So that's a net for Jokic. That's a net. So 12 plus 3.5. That's a net of 15.5 points that Jokic, because they're 12 points better than their opponent with him, but they're 3.5 points worse. So that's a net of 15-point swing with and without. With SGA, while his on is higher than Jokic's, his off is significantly higher than Jokic's. So it's a net of 9. Now, you asked for the Lakers without Luka. So let me just go to PB stats. And maybe someday when I become a real YouTuber and a real live streamer, I'll be able to share my screen with you guys like a real YouTuber. But until then, I'm just on my mobile device here. So we're going to do the Lakers without Luka. Let me find that for you here. It won't take but a moment. And okay, this is pretty interesting. XB, you want context? You want damn context? XB, let me give it to you. The Lakers without Luka are a minus 2.81. So not great. But the Lakers with Luka are only a plus 1.55. So the Lakers are actually better than the Nuggets without Luka and without Jokic. So if you extract Jokic from the Nuggets and extract Luka from the Lakers are actually better than the Nuggets. And while Jokic takes the Nuggets to extreme heights of plus 12, Luka is only a plus 1.55 with him on the court. So there's the first one that you asked for. Let's go find Minnesota. I expect the Ant-Man to be better actually in this than Luka. That's surprising for Luka, I think. Okay, this is pretty interesting. This is interesting. This is weird, wild stuff, to be honest with you. I'm going to need to launch an immediate investigation into this. In fact, I'm going to look right now on the on-offs because this is crazy on this net rating for Anthony Edwards. I need to go. I want to go on to, now I'm going to Basketball Reference. That's where I get my on-offs. I just want to see what I want to confirm what I'm looking at right now because it is wild stuff. Wow. All right, XB, you wanted Anthony Edwards. The net rating with Anthony Edwards on the court is a 3.17. That's plus 3.17. With him off the court this year, they are plus 9.1. So that is a net swing of -6. Anthony Edwards, actually, the Timberwolves are 6 points worse with Anthony Edwards on. And I just went to confirm that number on a separate site, Basketball Reference. Offensively per 100 possessions this year, Anthony Edwards is adding 2.5 points. So with him on the court, they average 120 points per 100. They average 118 per 100 with him off. But defensively, they are much worse. They with him on the court, they give up 117 a game per 100 possessions. With him off the court, only 108. That means they give up 9 points more per game per 100 possessions on average without SGA. That is a total on-off of -6.8. So Anthony Edwards' presence is actually costing the Timberwolves 6.5, almost 7 points per 100 possessions. Is that the context you were looking for, XB? And without Anthony Edwards, again, much better. They're a +9 net rating without Anthony Edwards. The Nuggets are a -3.6. So there is your context, XB. I agree to disagree. The numbers are not bearing out what you're saying. I understand what you're doing here, and I get it. Like, because you are being inundated with X and all of these internet hot takes that, like, oh my God, the Nuggets have won like 3 straight. They've won 6 out of 10 since Nikola Jokic. Like, but I'm telling you, these are flukish outcomes against mediocre teams. The 6 teams, the collective record of the 6 teams that the Nuggets have beaten without Nikola Jokic over the last 2.5 weeks, roughly, is 113 and 131. Okay, that's not good. If you throw in the 4 teams that they lost to in those 10 games, the collective record of the 10 teams that they've played since Nikola Jokic got hurt is 188 and 218. So they are 40 games under 500, and yet they are still barely winning these games. Like, they're winning these games by 3-4 points, 1 point. Like, I know they just blew the Mavericks out by like 10 points last night or 11 points. The Mavericks were without Anthony Davis, of course, and Cooper Flag got hurt in the second quarter and never returned. So, like, and they won that game by 11 points. Like, I get what you're seeing or what you're thinking you're seeing, but let me assure you, you ain't seeing what you think you are. This isn't what you think. Okay, I made a video about this today because I put 2 other videos out. And all I got was Nuggets comments on those 2 videos about Skap. You don't want to talk Nuggets because they're so good without Jokic. This ain't it. Believe me. Go watch that video if you want to see another 11 or 12 minutes of me talking just like this. This isn't what you think. This isn't the case you want to present. The Nuggets aren't that good without Nikola Jokic. I know because I can see every single second they play this year with and without him, and they are not good without him. And they are excellent with him. They are like the best team in the league with. Without, not good. There's a movie Night and Day with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz where Tom Cruise is like trying to help Cameron Diaz, and Cameron Diaz at the beginning of the movie is pushing back against Tom Cruise, trying to get away from him at every twist and turn. Tom Cruise finally just gets sick of it, pulls his car over and says, "You want to go? Go. But just know that like your life expectancy with me is here. Without me, here. With me, without me." All right. That is the Denver Nuggets with and without Nikola Jokic. And that's this year with his best team ever. This is his best team ever. And I agree, he does have a viable supporting cast this year for the first time ever. So just imagine what it was like the last like 5 years of his prime when he had no case to be competing at all. He had no viable case that he should be even winning series at all, and he won an NBA championship. Think that over, guys. Okay, sorry. I digress. I'm very impassioned about that topic, as you guys can tell. We already did this one. Right. We already hit that. The Incorruptible, though, is now back in yet again. Thank you, Incorruptible, as always, for hopping into the sponsor area of the Skap Live After Dark. I do appreciate it. Gary, what's this next one from the Incorruptible say?
I love watching YouTubers react to LePatch videos from you, AOH, and Uncut, calling out BS. Keep it up. Do you think LaFraud fades away after retirement? Oh, no. He'll do something to stick his head back in the limelight one way or another.
Yeah, no, LeBron will never. Are you kidding me? LeBron will never let himself fade away. He'll do whatever he can. He'll do a podcast. He'll probably move from once a week or whatever, twice. I don't even know how frequently he puts out his pods at this point, but he will become like a daily podcaster for sure. Hell, maybe he'll
have more videos than you. You'll be trying to keep up with them.
Easily he'll have more videos than me. Oh, speaking of which, so Incorruptible, my answer is definitely no. He'll buy a team, he'll start coaching, he'll do podcasts every day, he'll do something to keep himself in the mix. But let me just break this story to all of you guys. I know there's only like 80, 90 people in here, but let me break this to you guys. I will be doing a video on it tomorrow. Gary, I didn't mention this to you either. I was on, as some of you know, I am on Jason Whitlock's show from time to time. We were on the other day. I've been on like every day this week. Like a day or two ago, we were talking about the Rich Paul podcast with Max Kellerman and about how he's making LeBron look bad. And then LeBron's claiming that it's all Rich Paul on his own volition and that LeBron is not. Anyway, Whitlock had me back on today. I talked Tomlin with him. And then at the end of my appearance, he said, "Skap, I got to tell you, Rich Paul reached out to me and he watched our full segment from the other day." So if Skap Attack wasn't on the radar of Clutch before, guys, I am now. And I feel like it's a I made it moment. If LeBron and Rich are maybe talking about some Skap Attack videos, I hope that would be the case.
I think they are. And I think they were when Gilbert Arenas reached out and had that debate with you over Kobe and LeBron. So I think you've been on there. I think LeBron has watched. And LeBron, Rich Paul, take a look at Gary 828 Sports Talk and watch how you fucking robbed Kevin Durant in OKC because Durant is better than LeBron. You fucking frauds. I hope you're watching. You are a bunch of fucking frauds.
Easy now, Gary. This is a family family live stream.
I just thought about for a moment Yeah, have you ever heard, hey, if this person's listening, what would you like to say to them? I just had that moment of thinking about LeBron actually listening and me saying something to him. I would love to meet LeBron. LeBron, you are a fraud. You know the league. The refs helped you against OKC and Kevin Durant. You are not as good. Talk about Jordan. You're not as good as Kobe. You're not even as good as Kevin Durant. You are a effing fraud. See, I censored myself. You are a freaking fraud. You're not as good as a slew of guys.
Sorry. Well, there you have it, LeBron and Rich. If you're watching that, that's what Gary 828 thinks about you. We've got next. Did I skip somebody? No. Next in Xavier DeGod. What's up, brother? Obviously a regular. Xavier is in frequently, so he gives us these hypotheticals. Usually I sense another one coming. Gary, what does this one say?
Skap and Gary, what if Magic played with Kobe and Shaq in 96-97 season? How does that affect their careers? Do they go to finals?
Well, I mean, that's a huge what if. This is, by the way, this is wild what I'm seeing. I just went and pulled up Magic Johnson. So he was, as we all know, Irving Magic Johnson, one of the 10 greatest players that ever existed, actually retired prematurely when he contracted the HIV virus. I remember that was in like 91, 92-ish. It was still one of the more like poignant and really impactful things that has happened in all of the sports world in my entire lifetime. And then he did not play for 4 years. I didn't realize this. He played in 95, 96. I didn't realize that really. He played though in only 32 games only. He started in 9 games. And yet in playing in only 32 games, he finished 12th in league MVP voting and 5th in 6th man of the year voting. Anyway, he averaged 15 points per game, 7 assists and 6 rebounds at the age of 36 in 95, 96. But assuming that he would have still been playing a year later at 37, I don't really see him being that profound of an influence. So is the question, how does that affect their careers? Do they go to the finals? They don't go to the finals that year, in my opinion, in 96, 97. And then beyond that, I don't know that he plays. Magic would beyond that. I mean, it would have been cool to see Magic share the court with Kobe Bryant, even just as like a mentor type guy, which that ultimately was more like Byron Scott play with Kobe when he was very young. And then Byron Scott ultimately coached Kobe.
Kind of like CP3 and Wemby last year.
Yeah.
Except hopefully Magic wouldn't try to encourage Kobe to cheat during the drills competition like CP3 did to Wemby.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, it would have been cool to see. I don't think it would have changed much in terms of like what happened in the playoffs during those years.
Think they're going to beat the Bulls?
No way would they have beaten the Bulls. Like, I don't even think if they would have gotten into the finals ultimately, because that year, I guess he's suggesting 96, 97. Like that was like one of the Utah years. So like Utah got in and Utah won that year 64 games. The Lakers still won 56. Actually, it wasn't that year. Well, yes, it was. They played. I was going to say they played the Lakers. I thought it was that year, but they did play the Lakers that season. They beat the Lakers 4-1. So I don't think that really would have changed significantly if a 37-year-old Magic Johnson were on that team. Of course, Kobe Bryant didn't even start any games in that series that they lost that year. Kobe was still just 18 years of age. Shaquille O'Neal was elite, but he didn't have that great of a series against those Jazz. Just 22 points, 49% shooting, 22 points, 11 rebounds. Good, not great. Obviously, the mailman Karl Malone was just better. 29 points per game, 13 rebounds a night for him. I just think the Jazz were gonna win that series and go on anyway into the NBA Finals that season, even if Magic played. But a fun, interesting hypothetical as always from Xavier, who, speaking of Xavier, is just back again. It looks like Xavier has like 3 in a row coming up here, and then more to follow after that. But Gary, what is this next one from Xavier saying? Thank you, Xavier, for your generosity as always and your kind donations. But what does this next one from Xavier say?
Shout out to Xavier. It's funny how LeBron fangirls cry about the teams LeBron faced in the finals when we talk about how Stockton, Malone, Drexler, Barkley, Magic, Kemp, and Peyton had to face MJ in the Bulls in the finals. You know, that's a funny point, Skap. You know what? I don't think we've ever talked about Shawn Kemp on here before, and how is he for a plumber that Jordan had to face? What do you think Shawn Kemp would do to LeBron James if they met in the same era? He would be dunking all over LeBron. LeBron would be rolling around holding his elbow every time Kemp pushed him to the rim.
Yeah, Shawn Kemp was a stud. Those Seattle, I think it was the 95-96 season.
Yes, sir.
The year that the Bulls won, unfortunately, the year that the Bulls won 72 games and set the all-time record. I think that was the year that those Supersonics were really good. They went to the finals that year, I believe.
Yes,
it was, and they won like over 60. Yeah, they won 64 games that year. So, yeah, I mean that was a wild year. The Bulls won 72 games in the East. The Magic won 60. That was the Shaq and Penny Magic won 60. And then you had 64 wins for the Seattle Supersonics and 59 for the Spurs. Man, that was just a crazy. I mean, that was a really impressive run by, albeit like the Bulls won 72 games, obviously, but like, I mean, they went through the Magic. They beat 2 back-to-back 60-win teams in the East Finals and then the NBA Finals. But yeah, that year, yeah, the Sonics were really good. And look, the Sonics won 2 games in those finals against the Bulls, like the 72-win Bulls. And then look, one of the games, game 2, was a 92-88 final. So, I mean, like the Sonics not only won 2 games, like that's a close loss. And then they lost the deciding game 87-75. That Sonics team would have absolutely won the championship that year if Jordan wasn't in the NBA, if Jordan didn't exist or whatever. So, but there are a lot of great players that didn't win shit because of Michael Jordan, ultimately, when you get down to it. So that's a great
not only great players. Not only great players didn't win, Hall of Famers didn't win. How do you like that for plumbers?
Yeah, and it's a shame that the Malone Stockton pairing never won a championship, because those are 2 all-time great players. I think probably both of them would be even held in higher regard if they had won it just one. So
absolutely,
it's a shame that they couldn't find a way to get one. But unfortunately, the 2 years Jordan wasn't an impact, kind of out of the league, that was when Hakeem Olajuwon went berserk. So like it was just bad timing for that team, that Utah team, unfortunately. And Jerry Sloan, one of the classiest, best coaches. So shame that he never ultimately got it done at that level either. But again, that's what Michael Jordan did. Nobody ate on Michael Jordan's watch, unlike LeBron James, who every damn star is getting fat in this era on LeBron James's watch. So that's it's a great point, Xavier. And a follow-up, I guess, what's this next one from Xavier say?
And we talk about how Kobe had to make out the West.
Yeah, the West, it was just crazy back then. Like it was nuts. Like not only did you have the Kobe Lakers, but the Tim Duncan Spurs, like were complete overlaps of each other. And then like all the secondary teams were good too. You know, like I say this all the time. It's absolutely nuts that the Oklahoma City Thunder, the year before they went to the NBA Finals, 2 years before they went to the NBA Finals, they won 50 games, had Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, and were the 8th seed, and the Lakers had to beat them in the 1-8 to just get out of the first round. And then they had to go and win 2 more series and then get into the NBA Finals and win a championship. Like, that's how crazy the West was. Like, even let me just put it to you like this. 5 times in NBA history, a team has ultimately got into the NBA championship round, and they have played a 50-win opponent in all 4 rounds. It's only been done 5 times. Recently, it was the Mavericks, actually, when they came from the 5 seed 3 years ago when the Celtics beat them in the finals. They played a 50-plus win team in 4 straight rounds. Of course, they lost. They lost that finals round against the Celtics. Hakeem did it in one of his 2 runs, the second run in 95-96. And then the other 3 times it has been done in NBA history was the Kobe Lakers. Once with Shaq, they did it in 01, where they played all 50 win. And then again in 08 and 10 with Gasol. So basically, that Kobe's entire era had like teams that are like 48, 47, 50 win teams in just the 8th seed. So like, just crazy how, and yet nobody whines and complains, oh, Kobe should have 8 or 9 rings, really, if he didn't have to get out. Like, I hear about the LeBron commentary narrative. So yeah, good point, Xavier. And I know we'll hear from you again later on. Next in, though, we've got JVol 4046. What's up, brah? Another returner here to the sponsor area of Skap Live. I appreciate you very much. Thank you, my friend. And Gary, what is the question or comment here from JVol?
This is going to be controversial here. He's over here starting trouble. Skap, LeBron dropped 31, 10, and 9 yesterday. I gave him credit, didn't I? Against the Hawks on our last live stream. I did. I gave him props. He is 58 years old. How is he not in your top 10? Man, I love your content, but it gets to a point.
I mean, here's the thing, JVol. And I like it. I like the discourse here. Good question. I can look, I did do a top 10 video, which everybody, I hope, would check out. It's not got a lot of views, maybe like 80,000-ish views right now at this point. One of the best videos on my channel for sure. Of the 650-ish videos I have up, it's one of the top 10 videos on my channel. And I mentioned in the video that LeBron has a case to be in the top 10. I'll tell you this, JVol, probably right now, candidly, he would be in my 10th spot, but it's just a matter of time before Nikola Jokic bumps him out of that 10th spot, because I think Jokic is going to be more deserving of that 10th spot than LeBron. I could also see Steph Curry maybe in that 10th spot over LeBron. Anyway, why do I think the question really is, why do I think LeBron James is overrated? And it's just because he's never proven that he can win anything challenging without stacking the deck and having it in his ideal favor, in ideal conditions. If he really were that great and that impactful and that much of an all-time great, I feel as if he would win more than just 4 times in 23 years and counting. See, that's what we're talking. Like, when I say he's not a winner and people say he's got 4 rings, he's played 23 years in ideal physical condition and prime. He's still, to your point, 31, 10, and 9 at 41. He still is in physical prime and peak right now. And he has been since like his 2nd or 3rd year. And he has been stacking the deck every year since he was like 26. Even now, he's playing with a top 3 player in the NBA. So, like, the fact that he has only won 4 out. See, like Larry Bird, who was older when he came in. He played a long collegiate career. He actually got drafted and then went back for his senior year. Larry Bird was 23 years old when he played as a rookie in the NBA. And then Larry Bird hurt his back at 32. And then he was okay for another like really just 1 year after that. He then played only 60 games when he was in his 34 year, 45 games in his age 35 year, and he was out of the league. So really that year, and then that year when he was 32 and he hurt his back, he only played 6 games. So like really, Larry Bird's career started when he was like 23, and it basically ended like his peak, his prime, his physical prime, like ended when he was 31. So that realistically is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. So like, I get it. We have to appreciate LeBron because he is so good for so long, because of his longevity. Fine. He's a fringe top 10 guy because of longevity. But if I'm looking at peak, he just doesn't stack up. Like Larry Bird only has 3 rings compared to LeBron's, but LeBron has had 23 primed and physically excellent seasons with stacked super teams to try to win as much as he can. And he only won 4 in 23 years. Larry Bird realistically had 9 years to win, and he won 3. So even though Larry Bird won fewer rings than LeBron, he was still a more impactful and a much higher end winner than LeBron James. So like, how is LeBron not a slam dunk top 10er to me? Because he's never shown that he can win when the decks aren't stacked. He can never has shown that he can win a challenging ring. And look, many all-time greats haven't. Like Larry Bird probably didn't necessarily win a challenging ring. I could tell you Magic Johnson definitely never won a challenging ring with how many great players that guy played with, but they won more than LeBron. They won more because they won at a higher level in much less time. So like that is why like the guys that go above LeBron are either dudes that won with their super teams or their great supporting casts at a much higher and more successful rate than LeBron, or they're guys that showed they can win the challenging ring. Kobe, Hakeem, soon to be Nikola Jokic when he surpassed LeBron. So like that's why he's not a slam dunk for me in my top 10. But I get it. I understand the case that people make for him to be like as high as 3 or 4. He, to me, has no case above like 3 or 4, and certainly no case at all for number 1. But Gary, and I know you want to slide in here, and I'll let you in one moment, but let me just make one final point. To your point, though, J-Vault, about the 31, 10, and 9, there is also something to be said about era-specific inflation and what we're seeing today. Like LeBron James, I saw some metric that since he turned, in fact, don't just let me, regurgitate something I heard or read. Let me go find it. LeBron James turned 41 years old, I believe, on Gary. Help me out. Can you look it up? Was LeBron's birthday on December 30th?
His birthday. December 30th. Yeah, he just had a birthday.
December 30th. Okay, so I wasn't sure if it was the 30th or the 31st. So since LeBron's birthday, that would be now 7 total games. He is averaging, since he turned 41, he's averaging 26.1 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, and 7.1 assists. So that's 26, 7, and 7. Okay? Since he turned 41. Here's LeBron James's last year that he won league MVP at the age of 28. 26.8 points, 7.3 assists, and 8 rebounds. So right now in today's NBA, since turning 41, he's averaging 26, 7, and 7. In his last MVP season, like 13 years ago, he averaged 26, 8, and 7. Okay, this isn't LeBron being as good as he was at 28. It's not LeBron being better than he was at 28 or what. This is the NBA's much easier now, and we've seen this shift of it becoming this easy throughout LeBron's basically second 10 years or like second half of his career. So a lot of the numbers are inflated because the NBA's just gotten that much easier. But J-Vault, great question. I hope I did answer it to some degree. And if you have LeBron somewhere in your top 5 to 10 or 4 to 10, I guess, like I understand it. I disagree with you, but I understand it. People that have LeBron like top 3, it's just madness to me. Like it makes no sense. And to me has no case in the top 3, but that's just me. Gary, go ahead. What did you want to add?
I didn't have anything to add. I I think I needed to correct you on something. Did you say that LeBron had a stacked team 23 years? I thought that's
since his 26 year, since his age 26 year.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, because I was going to say
I said he was basically physically like totally healthy and uninjured and in his like peak and prime for like 23 years, 22, 23 years. But he's had stacked rosters since his age 26 season when he took his talents to South Beach.
Since he left Cleveland and went to Miami, what he should have done was just had Chris Bosh or somebody sign over on his team, because Bosh leaving Toronto was completely understandable. 7 years, 1 playoff appearance, and they got beat in the first round. No one would have blamed Bosh for leaving Toronto. And could you imagine how good that Cleveland team would have been if LeBron had continued? If he had the mindset of Jordan, and see, this is to answer your question, Jay Vol. It's LeBron's weak mindset. He doesn't want to compete to be the best. He tries to take shortcuts. That's why Skap and I and tons of others don't respect him, because we already witnessed Magic and Larry and Jordan. And what did Kobe Bryant do? He looked up to those guys and said, I want to emulate them. I want to be like those guys. We thought when LeBron first came in, I loved LeBron. I thought he was going to have that same mindset. And I was like, Cleveland's going to be scary if he rises up in a similar way as like Jordan and Kobe did. But instead, he went the opposite direction and team hopped. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? And then he had the audacity to hold a pep rally to talk about all the championships that he thought he was going to win. Just a complete joke. And Kobe and Jordan got to be like, what the heck is this guy doing? He's tainting the sport. He's taking, like, Jordan handed it off to Kobe. And then Kobe was supposed to hand it off to Kobe's like, I can't hand it off to this goofball. You know. Anyways, we'll get to the next question. That was just my thoughts.
Absolutely, Gary. Next thing, we've got Xavier back in, and Xavier's asking a question. Go ahead and read this one, Gary.
Skap and Gary, who's your white boy NBA Rushmore?
Now, I want to make this apparent. I'm going to leave this super chat up here on the screen, and I'm going to sync down. So if anyone tries cutting this out or trying to be slick or make some racial commentary about this answer, there you have to know that this is a prompted question. That's a funny question. Yeah. My white boy NBA Rushmore. I think that's a pretty easy question, quite frankly, for me to answer, Gary. I'll let you go after me, but I would say Larry Bird, slam dunk. Jerry West, slam dunk. I then put, me personally, I got Dirk Nowitzki on there. He's like the 7th all-time leading scorer in NBA history. Underrated career, honestly, in my estimation. And Nikola Jokic, like 3-time league MVP. Now he really should have at least 4. I think he could have won the last 5 straight. He should have won 4. Look, I hear some speculation that he's going to be back before they thought, like that he's going to beat the time frame, which would have been like the 27th of January. If he gets back on the 27th or before and doesn't miss another game the rest of the year, he will qualify for year-end awards. He likely won't get the MVP. If he didn't get hurt, he was going to get his 4th this year. He was going to take it away from SGA if he didn't get hurt. Getting hurt now, missing all these games with Shea only missing 2, probably Shea will get the MVP now. But Jokic will still finish 2nd if he's qualified. And if he is qualified, that means that he will finish 1st or 2nd for like 6 consecutive years, which is absurd. So Jokic easily already is on the white boy Mount Rushmore, Xavier. And then, Gary, that is my white boy Mount Rushmore. It would be Dirk, Jerry West, Larry Bird, and Nikola Jokic. What say you?
Yeah, I was definitely Larry Bird and Jokic. And then I thought about Stockton. But yeah, I got to go with Jerry West. I forgot about, how did I forget about the logo? Yeah, Jerry West.
And look, Gary, there are good guys out there. They're like, like you said, like
Yeah,
Stockton, Nash, two-time MVP, Steve Nash, two-time MVP,
yeah.
Bob Cousy, John Havlicek, George Mikan, if we want to go like way, 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 way back. So like there are other people to consider putting on there, but for me, like I slide Dirk on there because Dirk has one of the best, maybe the
I
best
think
single
I
ring
agree.
ever. And he never really had a great supporting cast. And like I said, 7th all time in NBA scoring. But so
Anyone in the
you
chat
kind of agree with my list, maybe?
I agree with Skap. Anyone in the chat have any other people? I know Luka's a candidate, but we haven't really seen what he's going to do. He's definitely going to be one of the best players after he retires at some point, but we don't know exactly how accomplished he's going to be. And for the record, I'm not being agreeable for the sake of being agreeable. I just honestly, I think I have to agree with, I think I'd have to put slide Jerry West over Stockton, because Stockton's who I thought I forgot about Jerry West. And Dirk, yeah, I can't argue with that. Pistol Pete's really good as well. So, hey, you know what we discovered? We got a lot of good white players and black players in the NBA. So what an awesome sport.
Good point. I do see another one. Look, J-Ball is back in. He just jumped back in at the bottom of these.
They're in trouble.
And it is, I feel like we got to jump ahead because we were just talking about this, and it's a piggyback question. I am going to get to all of these super chats. In fact, let's slide one more in here from Saggy Bones, because before I jump down there,
okay,
because Saggy Bones is asking an interesting question. So let's hit that, and I will, as I always do, guys, I will get to all of these questions. So, but let's get to Saggy Bones, and then I will jump back and answer J-Ball's follow-up retort about my LeBron take. But go ahead with Saggy Bones first.
What do you think are the best sports cities, Skap? Let me tell you, Skap, I love the Steelers, the passion of the Steelers fans. And there's a lot of other teams I love as well in the NFL, their fan base. Buffalo, for one, I really want that Super Bowl for them, for that city, for that fan base. But Skap, and I also, those same fans are there in the Pittsburgh Pirates. Why is there no consideration for a Pittsburgh NBA team? Do you think that one could ever come to Pittsburgh?
I don't know. I've been wanting it for years. And there is a famous movie, The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh, starring Dr. Julius Erving. And it was about and I think it was an ABA team in Pittsburgh. But anyway, I've been wanting it. I think the fan base would support it if they were a good team. If they weren't, or if they were a mediocre, subpar team, I don't think the fan base would really support an NBA team. They support the Steelers pretty much no matter what, though. They were all over Tomlin in recent years, and most certainly they were all over him this year. A lot of Fire Tomlin chants throughout many portions of games this season. I don't want to look like a complete and total homer, but I'd say that Pittsburgh is in the mix for the best sports cities.
I agree.
I would also say, look, there's a big rivalry between Philly and New York. I've been around both cities. I think New York is one of the best sports cities. They're very passionate about their teams. They live and breathe on their teams. They hold their teams to high standard, even though their teams, specifically speaking about the NFL teams, have been absolutely lousy for several years. But I would say New York is in the mix for the best sports cities. And I'm not just naming big cities because Los Angeles stinks. Los Angeles is one of the worst sports cities. They just simply don't care about any of the teams. I guess there's so much other things to do there. That's part one. And part two is it's such a transient city. There's not a lot of people that were born in Los Angeles that are in Los Angeles. There are people that come from different places. So there's no sense of community or fandom really in LA. Philadelphia, who is in the mix, always in the running, Gary, for best sports cities. No, it's a scumbag fan base. Let me just put that out there. A bunch of scumbags. Okay. Most recently, I saw them following the game when they got punked and beat down at home by a hospital unit, San Francisco 49ers, without two perennial all-pro first teamers like Nick Bosa and Fred Warner on defense. They were without like virtually their entire receiving core. They lost George Kittle, all-pro tight end, like early in that game to maybe a career-ending Achilles rupture. Still, though, the Niners punked them and beat them down in their own city. And then that scumbag fan base, I saw them throwing beer cans at Niner fan leaving the arena, which included children in the group. F you, Philadelphia fan. Not only are you not one of the best sports cities or whatever, you're scumbags. That's what I have to say to you. And I lived there, so I know. I lived there for like 5 years. But yeah, I would say probably like New York. And I would give Pittsburgh a shout out as well. And not just because I'm from there. Good question there. Seggy, go ahead, Gary.
And Boston.
Boston, yeah. Fair. Yeah, Boston's another good one. Yeah, I would co-sign that one too. All right, let's get back to J-Ball. First of all, J-Ball, thank you.
Okay, wait, one more. Shout out to the Green Bay Packers fan base. They show up and show out too.
Sure, but that's just the Packers in general. I don't know if like Green Bay or like Wisconsin. Like I don't know if they're like or Green Bay in particular would be like a great sports city. They're a great like NFL city or fan city. But I don't know that I would necessarily say they're like a great overall sport. Like Pittsburgh, like they're diehard with the Penguins, and like they even hang kind of on Pirates still to some degree, even though they've been abysmal for like 30 years. And then like New York, like they love their Knicks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yankees, Giants,
Yankees. So yeah,
even Jets.
Yeah. But all right, let's get back to J-Ball, which again, J-Ball, thank you very much for your generosity here in this very nice donation that you made us, and the previous ones as well. And thank you very much for your involvement here, by the way. I do like the pushback or the questioning of what I'm saying. So he wants some clarification, or he wants to talk more. Gary, go ahead and give us this follow-up from J-Ball.
What you said about LeBron is fair, but no impressive rings. 2016 finals, Golden State. Also, you have Kobe top 2. I love Kobe more than anyone, but he got 3 out of his 5 rings alongside the most dominant player ever in his prime.
There's a lot wrong with this, J-Ball. There's a lot wrong. So let me try to set to answering this here. First of all, the 2016 finals is one of the most overrated finals runs in NBA history. Here's why. Because the Golden State Warriors were a shell of themselves when they got into that finals. They won 73 games in the regular season. They lost 9 in the regular season. So 73-9, the greatest regular season team ever. However, they lost 8 games in the playoffs alone. So they nearly lost more games in the postseason than they did all regular season long. They were 14-8, I believe, or they were 15-8 in the playoffs, 73-9 in the regular season. Something isn't adding up there. They were getting obliterated in the Western Conference Finals by the Oklahoma City Thunder. They were down 3-1 to the Oklahoma City Thunder just right before they went into the NBA Finals. The Thunder were better than them at that point of the season. The Thunder would have beaten the Cavaliers at that point of the season. The Warriors get into the finals, though. They take a 3-1 lead, and then a couple players got hurt for Golden State. Draymond Green got suspended in one of those games. Kyrie Irving in that series, head-to-head against Steph Curry. J-Ball, you look young in your picture. The fact that you're a big LeBron enthusiast leads me to believe that you're on the younger side. Maybe you don't remember. The 2016 Golden State Warriors did not have Kevin Durant. So this was pre-Kevin Durant. It was just Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Kyrie Irving outplayed Steph Curry in those finals. Steph Curry, who was the finals MVP, the regular season unanimous MVP that year. The only unanimous MVP in NBA history, went into the NBA Finals and was dominated, I would suggest, by Kyrie Irving. Here are the numbers, bro. Steph Curry, for that 7-game finals series, averaged, hold on, I'm in the advanced. I'm sorry. I want to get these completely spot on. 22.6 points per game for Steph Curry. 22.6. 4.9 rebounds, 3.7 assists on 40% shooting from the field. 40.3%. So Steph Curry averaged 22.6 on 40%. That's the unanimous MVP from the regular season. Kyrie Irving in those finals averaged 27 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, and 3.9 assists on 47% shooting. Think about what I'm telling you right now, J-Ball. The alleged second best player on the Cavaliers thoroughly dominated the unanimous MVP in a positional head-to-head. 2 points. 22 per game for Curry on 40% shooting versus 27 per game on 47% for Kyrie. And he averaged more assists than Curry and had fewer turnovers. That's not impressive at all. Like, are you kidding me? And in order to get into those finals, so if you want to try to say that that's an amazing accomplishment that they beat the 73-9 win Warriors, like, they didn't really beat that same team from the regular season. Curry was either hurt or just gagged in that series, one or the other. You choose. But he was substantially worse than he was during the regular season for the whole 7-game series, and Kyrie destroyed him head to head. Then you had LeBron and you had the suspensions, the other injuries, etc. But if you want to try to make some kind of commentary just about that 2016 finals run, I guess it is what it is. But to get into the finals, the Cleveland Cavaliers that year beat the Detroit Pistons, who were 44-38. Okay, that was their first round opponent. They then beat in the second round the Toronto Raptors, who won 56 games. Fine. They won 56 that year. Let's check out their roster, shall we? The 56-win Toronto Raptors that year: Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, DeMarre Carroll, Jonas Valanciunas, and those are their 4 primary starters, and then Luis Scola when he was healthy. So Luis Scola, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, DeMarre Carroll, and Jonas Valanciunas were kind of like their primary, the guys that started the most games. And then Bismack Biyombo also played in 82 games and started 22 of them. That was the 56-win team that they beat in the Toronto Raptors. And then in the Eastern Conference, that was the Eastern Conference Finals. In the semis, they beat the Atlanta Hawks, who were 48 wins. So they beat a 44-win team, a 48-win team, and then a pretty overrated-looking 56-win team to me to just get into the finals with a venerable super team, which included Kyrie Irving. Again, I just told you what he did in those playoffs. And by the way, Kyrie Irving didn't make an all-star appearance that year because he was hurt in the early portion of the season. So, because of that, he didn't make an all-star. That doesn't mean that he wasn't really an all-star and he wasn't playing like it when he came into the playoffs that season. Kyrie Irving played in only 53 games that year, so he didn't make an all-star appearance. But in the playoffs, how about this? LeBron averaged 26.3 per game. Kyrie Irving averaged 25.2. So, that was his running mate there, along with Kevin Love. So what do I mean the 2016 isn't that impressive? I'm sorry I spent this much time on it, J-Ball, but that's exactly what I mean by 2015, 2016 isn't that impressive. Now, getting to Kobe. Speaking of 1 point per game that LeBron led over Kyrie in those playoffs, and Anthony Davis led the playoffs in scoring in 2020 over LeBron, Shaq outscored Kobe by about a point per game over the four finals runs that they made together. Like 1 point per game more is basically what Shaq was outscoring Kobe by, while Kobe led the Lakers in fourth quarter scoring every year, led the in the playoffs, led the Lakers in clutch time scoring every year in those playoffs, was the main ball handler and facilitator, led the team in assists every year, and he was the primary clutch time closer, as well as being the best perimeter defensive player in the NBA. He made first team or second team All-NBA defense every year. Kobe was a co-star in that. They were 1 and 1A. And the next best player on those teams after the first year, which was Glenn Rice, was Derek Fisher. So like Derek Fisher was their third leading scorer, a guy who's like a 6-point career scorer in the NBA that made no All-Stars ever in 20 seasons, that made no All-NBA selections ever in 20 seasons, that never won a six-man ever, never, like nothing. He has no accolades ever. That was their third best player. Kobe, in being the second option on those teams, for instance, in 2001, Kobe Bryant outscored like all of the greats in NBA history in a single finals run as the second option. He scored more than Kareem in every finals run he made except for one. He outscored LeBron in all of his finals runs, except for maybe one. Let me just confirm that. LeBron James in his 4 finals playoff runs, one time Kobe outscored him in 2001 as a second option. Kobe outscored LeBron in 3 of his 4 finals runs. These are his bad rings that you're telling me are his bad rings where he played with one of the most dominant players ever. But look at the 2 that he won without Shaq, though. He went to 3 straight. He played a 50-win opponent in 11 of the 12 teams that he faced in those 3 runs to get to 3 finals. He won back-to-back, and he did it without a top 75 player. And in those 3 runs, he's the first player ever in NBA history, and still the only player ever, that has led the league, led the playoffs in scoring every year, and scored over 600 points for 3 straight postseason runs. Jordan never even did it. That's what Kobe was doing against 50-win teams in every round, going to 3 straight finals and winning back-to-back against 2 teams that eliminated and ended LeBron James's career as the league MVP those 2 seasons. J-Vol, have I said enough? I think so. I think I've spent enough time on this. I talk about challenging rings. Nobody won more than Kobe. I think Akeem arguably has the most challenging ring ever. The first one he won. The second one he had, remember, Clyde Drexler was acquired pre-trade deadline that year, and Clyde Drexler was still an all-star caliber player. He's a top 50 all-time NBA player. One of those 2 rings, arguably the hardest ring ever, the first one he won when Otis Thorpe was his best player. And then Dirk Nowitzki arguably has the greatest ring ever when he beat the Miami Heat in the finals in 2011. But he beat a lot of other. Yeah, I think he beat the Spurs and the Lakers as well in that run. Is that right, Gary? He beat your Spurs in that one?
Which in 2001?
No, 2011. What was the run? I know he beat the Lakers, the defending 2-time back-to-back defending Lakers. I think he beat the Spurs as well. Or was that 06 that I'm thinking about when he beat the Spurs?
I thought we're talking about Kobe. I'm
talking about the what I think are the best rings ever. Let me just get I got it up now. Let me just get it up.
2011. No, I don't think the Spurs were
Okay, no, it was not the Spurs. He beat the Trailblazers in the first round. Then he beat the Lakers.
And
then he beat the Oklahoma City Thunder that year. And then he beat the Miami Heat. So, and of course, the Thunder would then go to the finals the next year. So arguably, Hakeem and Dirk have a one-time more challenging ring than Kobe. Nobody won more challenging rings than Kobe. Just the 2 that he won with Powell are more. That gives him more challenging rings and harder, better rings than any player ever in NBA history, in my estimation. J-Ball, that's why I think Kobe Bryant is number 2. LeBron has no challenging rings. That's why he's not top 10. Go ahead, Gary.
And I have something to add here. Pop it back up. The most dominant player ever in his prime. How do you think Shaq reached that domination of prime? Riddle me this. How dominant was Shaquille O'Neal in the 1996-97 season, 98 season, 99 season, until Kobe came into his own year 4 with Phil Jackson? That is when Shaq looked like the most dominant. Shaq was good in the 90s with Orlando, but you're talking about dominance. Well, Shaq had a more loaded roster with Orlando, but he didn't have Kobe. He had Anthony, who was very good. Remember all the Penny Hardaway Nike commercials? Chris Rock doing the Penny Hardaway puppet? That was famous at the time. So it was Shaq and Penny. And on top of that, they had a better supporting cast than Shaq and Kobe had. But you know what? As great as Anthony Hardaway was, he doesn't compare to Kobe Bean Bryant. It wasn't until Shaq had Kobe Bryant until he started winning championships.
Yeah, let me also just end with this, and then we'll get back on track. Shaquille O'Neal has been swept the most times in NBA history. Check that. He's tied. Him and one other player are tied with the most sweeps in NBA history with 6. Shaq has 6 and Pau Gasol has 6. They weren't doing much winning without Kobe Bryant, believe me. When Shaq was playing with Kobe, they were winning championships. When Pau Gasol was playing with Kobe Bryant, they were winning championships. Kobe is the common denominator in there because Kobe wasn't, look, Shaq got swept primarily without Kobe, and Pau Gasol got swept primarily without Kobe. Kobe was the guy, okay, J-Ball. To say that Kobe wasn't, like, and also, by the way, Shaq isn't the most dominant player ever. Wilt is easily the most dominant player ever, more dominant than Shaquille O'Neal, and quite frankly, it's really not that close. Okay, next, let's see. We were at the what was the best sports season? Okay, here we are back to XB. What's up, XB? Following up presumptively with my net rating mind-blowing drop that I just authored earlier this year or earlier this live stream. Go ahead, Gary. What does XB have to follow up?
So he's following up from the previous question. So taking this logically another step, are we saying the Timberwolves are a better team without Anthony Edwards? Lakers are barely better with Luka, but that's crazy.
I'm just telling you what it is, XB. Now, obviously, you have to take into account who they're playing with when they're on the floor and who's playing when they're off the floor, basically. And then also what their opponents are doing, like in terms of like who are their bench players playing when Ant is off, like what are their opponents playing? Like what's the substitution cycle? But I can tell you this, like everybody was blowing their mind about the fact that the Denver Nuggets beat the Milwaukee Bucks by like 4 points without Nikola Jokic. But then the Milwaukee Bucks, like 2 days later, played the Minnesota Timberwolves without Anthony Edwards, and the Timberwolves won by like 40 in that game, or like 35 points in that game. So all I'm saying basically is like, no. Anthony Edwards, I would want Anthony Edwards on the floor if I were the Minnesota Timberwolves. What I'm saying though is looking at the supporting cast, looking at the numbers, like it's not looking at like 4 games or 6 games or 10 games. That's the fluke. Okay. Looking at on-offs and per 100s, that's not a fluke. It's every second aggregated out. It's an evaluation of every second. So, and what I'm saying, like the Lakers, yeah, like let me go and look. Let me break it down for you defensively and offensively with Luka Doncic. Because I went and looked this up with Ant. Ant makes them better offensively, but he's making them a lot worse defensively. Now, let's see exactly what the tail of the tape is with Luka Doncic. Offensively, look, he makes them a pretty good amount better. They're +6 roughly better. So that he's adding 6 points per 100 possessions offensively. And look, he's making them around 2.5 points worse on defense. So like it's a net of around like 3-ish, like in terms of the raw on off. So like these numbers are what they are, XB. I'm not claiming that, look, Luka, you want Luka on the floor if you're the Lakers and you want Ant on the floor. But I'm saying like their supporting casts aren't as bad as you think they are. And the Denver Nuggets supporting cast isn't as good as you think it is. The Incorruptible back end. Oh, with an appropriately timed super chat from the Incorruptible. Thank you for looking out, brother. He's got something to chip in here on this on-off. Go ahead, Gary.
I think it's worth keeping in mind that on-off does not account for who they're on-off with. It's useful, but doesn't tell the whole story. I think I agree with that.
And that's fair. And a lot has been made about Nikola Jokic's on-offs and the fact that Michael Malone was cooking his on-offs. And the fact they had a terrible center and they were just bleeding points without Jokic. And the fact that Malone ran Jokic primarily only with starters and never played him with it was just him and then 4 bench players. So there was a lot said over the last several years that Malone was in some way kind of skewing Jokic's on-offs to be insane. And maybe there was something to that because his on-offs were insane last year. For instance, like his on-offs a year ago in 2024, 2025, it's just ridiculous, honestly. He was a +20 offensively. So like when he was on the floor per 100 last year, 127 O rating and 107 with him off, +20. And then defensively, look, even though is supposedly the worst defensive player ever, they allowed 116.6 with him on and 115.5 with him off. So he lost 1.1 points. So they were 1.1 points worse defensively, but 20.1 better offensively. That was an on-off of 19, +19. So like maybe there was something to that a year ago, and the years before that, the substitution patterns Malone ran was advantageous for Nikola Jokic's on-offs. This year, it hasn't been like that at all. Adelman runs him a lot of the time with primarily the majority of people he's on the floor with is bench players. But even this year, with his on-off going down a good amount, he still adds 14.6 points per 100 possessions offensively. I'm sorry, 14.6 is what I should have said. 14.6. And then defensively, try this on for size. Haters, choke on this, you scrubbish Nikola Jokic haters. With him on the court, they allow 118 defensively, and with him off the court, 119. So they are 1 point better with him on the court. So adding that to his +14.6 on offense, he's still a +15.6. So even though it ain't the +20 or +19 it was last year, he still is almost 16. So yes, while I agree with you, it doesn't tell the whole story, Incorruptible and Gary, it still tells a pretty large amount of the story. Nikola Jokic is by far the best player in the NBA. He's by far the most valuable player in the NBA. It doesn't matter who the hell you play him with or without, or when they are significantly better with him on than off. And it doesn't matter which way you cook it or run the substitutions. So there you go, XB. I hope that you got what you were looking for from that. And thank you for asking the question. I'll probably do a video on this now that I see some of these upper echelon stars. You know what? For shits and gigs, let's check out Shai Gill. Let's check out Shai's real quick, shall we? I just said Jokic is a raw 15.6 on the on-off. Let's see what the league MVP is this year, shall we? He makes them 12.7 points better on offense. Not a small number. So they score 124 with him on and only 111 off. And then he actually is losing 2.2 points for the defense. With him on the court, 107.8. With him off the court, 105.6. So that's 2.2 points worse. So he's a net of 10.5. That's a great number. That is a great number. And like I said, he's a great player, but it ain't 15.6. Like Jokic, as great of a number as that is, Jokic is still 5 points better. So again, don't get it twisted. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA by a large margin. All right, let's see. I keep losing my track here. Okay, we are back. The Jupiter Knight is back. Oh, he's got a different take here. Go ahead, Gary, with this one.
2014 finals ensured LaFlop can never be the GOAT.
Jupiter Knight, thank you very much again for your kind contributions here. But I must humbly reject this premise. I have to push back. I vehemently disagree with you. 2011 finals ensured that LaFlop can never be the GOAT. Like, he invalidated his GOAT case for all of time at the age of 27 in 2011. Are you hearing that, J-Ball? Because I think J-Ball is coming back in and wants to get back in with me yet again. But do you hear that, J-Ball? LeBron can't be number one ever because 2011 happened. And for those of you that don't remember 2011, go look it up. He absolutely crapped in his pants as the back-to-back league MVP with a top 3 player in the NBA and another top 14 player on his team, and those guys balling. He managed to be the 5th leading scorer in an NBA Finals series and scored exactly 0 total points in the clutch. So that 2011 against the Mavericks invalidates him for all of time. Gary, you look to be celebrating for something.
I am celebrating because the Hornets are about to beat the Lakers. 124-106 with 5 minutes to go.
That's a big number. 125 to 108 now I'm seeing that's a big number, Gary. Let's see what LeGoat is doing in this one. 22 points. Not bad. Not bad. -8.
He puts up good stats. The question is not his stats. The question is,
Gary, he's still scoring though, by the way. He's still in this game. Well, I guess they're only down by 15.
Right.
But Luka, though, has 39 points in this one on 15 to 25. Not enough. They're getting absolutely – the Lakers are getting waxed right now, 125-110 by the Charlotte Hornets. But yes, Jupiter Knight, I agree. That whole run with Miami, certainly that 4-year span, certainly does invalidate LeBron James, in my estimation, from being the GOAT. But what does Darth Cairns, again, another guy that's coming back in here and sponsoring us on this stream. I appreciate you very much. Dylan Brooks, Aura, what's up, brother? Gary, what does this one say?
Love the content. What do you think about Mexico City as a possible added franchise team in NBA? I would rather have Mexico City added before Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm not very high on Las Vegas as an NBA destination. I'm with you on that, but we know that Kamish Silver is already circling around that Vegas edition, I'm sure. But I would like Mexico City. That would be cool. I would endorse that. I'd be behind it. I would also look, Pittsburgh's not going to happen. I would love that, but I would like to throw Seattle in the mix. Seattle is a great basketball city. And they unfortunately lost their team many years ago. I think 2008-ish, 2007 or 2008. They moved, of course, to Oklahoma City. I would like to see maybe Seattle get a chance at getting a team back. But good question. And definitely I would not like to see Vegas be first in the line there, Darth Cairns. And then, look, Darth Cairns with the Dylan Brooks Aura is back again, back-to-back with a very generous donation here. Thank you very much. My friend, what's this next one? Is it another Mexico City question? Go ahead.
Can NBA fans of Mexican ethnicity also root for Spaniard NBA players? We have a low amount of Mexican NBA players, and some of us have Spanish DNA in us already. Jamie Jaquez is all we can connect to. I think you can root for anybody you want of any descent. I think it's
absolutely okay. Darth Cairns. Don't be limited by race or ethnicity, my friend. Just love whatever players you love. Sports are the ultimate colorblind thing, in my estimation. Totally a merit-based endeavor, and just the most deserving people are celebrated, or they should be. So absolutely, it doesn't matter what ethnicity, race, or backgrounds you might have. You just find a player that you like, that you identify with, that you want to root for, and damn it, you just do it no matter what, and no matter what anybody else tells you. Darth Cairns, keep that Dylan Brooks aura about you, bro. Just go out and do you. All right, we've got Xavier back in, Xavier to God again, with I'm sure another exhilarating hypothetical that will probably take me like 15 minutes to answer. Go ahead, Gary. With what does Xavier say this time?
If Kobe and Shaq met MJ, Pippen, and Rodman in the 97 or 98 finals, what does that do for MJ's career, and what does that do for Kobe and Shaq's careers?
Well, I mean, Kobe and Shaq were in the NBA together in those years, and they didn't get into the NBA finals. Like, again, I'll say it again, like they didn't get there. They were together, they played together, and the Utah Jazz won the West in those years, then went on and got beat by the Bulls both times.
They had the same coach.
So I think that also true. I think he's saying, like, if Shaq, I mean, hypothetically speaking, look, Jordan is my GOAT. But if you take the greatest Laker, like if you take 2001, and I've said this multiple times in the past, so I'm not coming out of left field with this. If you take the 2001 LA Lakers, the Shaq and Kobe's best team, to me, that's the best team ever, because Shaq and Kobe were so individually dominant and excellent in the front and back courts. I think that team would beat any team in NBA history four games out of 7. Like, I don't think any team is beating that 4 times out of 7, including any of Jordan's Bulls teams. That doesn't again invalidate Jordan as the GOAT. It's just peak Kobe would not neutralize Jordan, but like Jordan would still get you like 32 or 33 on Kobe, but Kobe's getting like 29 or 30 on Jordan. But then Shaq is the real problem in that equation. Like, the Bulls were never that good in the front court. Rodman definitely shorted up when they brought him in for that second three-peat run. But Rodman was like 6'7". Like, as good as he was, one of the greatest defensive players ever. But like, he was like 6'7", like 230 or something. Like, Shaq was 7'2", 330. Like that just, I don't think, with Kobe playing Jordan to a relative draw to some degree, I don't think that Shaq would have been able to be contained enough that would have been the differential to me. So, like, I think if both of those best teams, those guys' best teams played, I think Kobe and Shaq's best team would have beat Jordan's best team. But then again, Jordan, or I should say Kobe and Shaq, are much better than Jordan and Pippen as a duo. Much better to me. I mean, Jordan is the best ever, but like, whoever you want to say is the second best, like whether you want to say Shaq at his peak is second best to Kobe, or Kobe at his peak was second best to Shaq's peak, whatever, like either one of those dudes, Shaq or Kobe, whichever one you want to look at, is way better than Scottie Pippen. Way better. So like, that is the real difference. Xavier, I hope I answered that in some capacity for you. All right, let me jump down here. The Incorruptible is back in again. Oh, good. We're just talking Shaq, Kobe. Let's go ahead and jump back in with Shaq and Kobe from the Incorruptible. Thank you, Incorruptible, with another very well-timed super chat. Thank you very much, Gary. Go ahead with this one.
LeBron shooting. He just shot a brick. He's got a dude on him. He's on a perimeter. Let's see LeBron. He's driving. Oh, he got stripped in real time. I'm giving you guys. So at first he threw up a brick, and then he got stripped. And
look, these are some garbage points. When I turned this game, when I looked on this game, LeBron had 22 points with like 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Now he has 29. So who knows how many he scored in this fourth quarter where the game was basically over. So these are just some garbage points. So see, now Jay Ball is going to come in here and say, yo, LeBron's got 29, 9, and 6.
Right.
Well, how much of that actually occurred when the game mattered? Or like, people were actually trying to stop him from scoring these poop points, Jay Ball. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead with this incorruptible, well-timed drop for us.
People forget how those Lakers had little other than Shaq and Kobe. Like you say, why don't people say this about Kareem and Magic? And they had better teams.
Correct. Kareem and Magic had way better teams. They had another top 50 all-time player in James Worthy. I just mentioned the 2001 Los Angeles Lakers, who I think, look, they're not the best team ever. I misspoke. They're not even close to the best team ever. They're like probably like the 100th best team ever, but they would beat every team ever because Kobe and Shaq were just that damn great. Kobe and Shaq, not just Shaq, Kobe and Shaq. In 2000, 2001, in the regular season, Shaquille, again, this is 2000, 2001, where the NBA scoring average league-wide was like 96 points per game in the regular season and like 94 points per game in the playoffs. Kobe and Shaq that year, Shaq averaged 28.7 points per game, and Kobe averaged 28.5 points per game. That was in the regular season. Kobe averaged 28.5, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Kobe averaged 28.7, 13 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. So, like, is that, J-Vol, that's like Kobe getting carried, I guess, to you by Shaq. In the playoffs that year, Shaq averaged 30.4 points per game, 15 rebounds, 3 assists. Kobe averaged 29.4 points per game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. 29, 7, and 5 for Kobe in the playoffs that year. And Shaq 30 and 15. The next highest scorer on that team in the playoffs was Derek Fisher at 13 points per game. Then Rick Fox at 10 points per game, and no other player averaged more than 6. So, like, that was the supporting cast. In the regular season that I said that Kobe averaged 28.5, Shaq averaged 28.7. Derek Fisher, again, third leading scorer, 11.5 points per game. No other player was in double digits for the year. They had one dude that scored 11 points per game other than Kobe and Shaq, and that was it for double digits. And that one guy, like I said, Derek Fisher, their third leading scorer on what I think is the team that would beat every team ever. His career averages, again, 8 points per game. His only accolade ever in an 18-year career was in 2005, 2006, when he finished 16th in Sixth Man of the Year voting. That was their third best player. Really, J-Ball? Really? That's the team. That's the carry job that you're trying to tell me about. Those aren't supposed to be considered great rings when they're beating every team they play has 50 wins. Come on, J-Ball. And I know J-Ball wants to come back in, but great, well-timed message there by the Incorruptible. We've got Stevie, and then we will get back to J-Ball. And I am running out of gas. We are at the 2 hour and 46 minute mark. I was not expecting to be on here this long tonight, but I somehow made it with the energy of these great questions by all of you guys. Go ahead with Steve _305. And Steve, thank you for coming in, and thank you very much for supporting me here. Gary, what does Steve have for us?
Do you think Ja Morant is going to be traded to Miami? I don't know why Miami would want him. They don't have that. They don't seem to like guys like that.
Everybody wants to go to Miami. Do you ever notice that? Like Giannis wanted to go to Miami. LeBron went to Miami.
But Pat Riley doesn't want everybody. He wants high character players.
Yeah, but people just like I think they just like the nightlife and like the aura of Miami. But I don't know. I wouldn't give up much for Ja Morant at this point. I mean, I understand. And look, I just want to pull it up because I know he was second team All NBA recently. Not recently, maybe, but earlier on in his career. He's second team All NBA. He's been an All-Star a couple times. I just want to make sure I get all right. Rookie of the year. And then in his third year at the age of 22, he was second team All NBA, and he was an All-Star in back-to-back years, those 2 years, his age 22 and 23 season, where he flashed excellence. That 21-22 year where he was only 22, great year. 27 points, nearly 7 assists, 6 rebounds. He's a great player, but he did only play 57 games that year. So this guy, look, he's never played 70 games once in his career. 67, 63, 57, 61, 9, 50, and now 18. The guy is a part-time player. He's a headache off the court. He doesn't seem to be a very good teammate. I wouldn't give up much at this point for John Morant.
Wouldn't give up anything.
It's probably why John Morant's still on the Grizzlies, because they don't want him. They're willing to trade him. But I'm guessing that the return package isn't what they're trying to get for this guy, who was, I do believe, was he the first pick overall or the second pick?
I don't even. Are you asking me? I don't even remember.
He was the second pick overall in the 2019 draft, second to Zion Williamson, who was, say what you will, he too is another one of these part-time players, but Zion Williamson was a phenomenal college player in that one and done year.
Yeah.
There are 4 players ever to win National Player of the Year as a freshman: Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Cooper Flagg, and Zion Williamson. So Zion Williamson was a terrific collegiate player. He was considered like a transcendent, generational, can't miss guy. So like that was the only cat that went above John Morant in his draft. So I get it. Like the Grizzlies want their return on that. And he has flashed excellence in the NBA, but there's too many red flags. If I were any franchise, I'm not pulling the trigger on that deal, because let me also layer this in. John Morant right now is getting paid still. This year he's making he's making $39 million this year. He's owed $42 million next year, and then $42 million the following year. That's just, there's no option on that. So there's no player or team option. So that's just whatever team acquires him would have his rights for till 2027, 2028. My expectation is, though, he would want a restructuring and an extension that would be involved in any trade. I wouldn't want to get into any of that at this point with him. Okay, and finally, fittingly, this is our last super chat, because like I said, I am running out of steam, and I have devoted quite a lot to these J-Ball questions throughout the night. But J-Ball is back in with yet again another very generous donation. J-Ball, thank you for your kind contributions tonight, despite the fact that I get the feeling that we're going to continue to disagree on this. But go ahead, Gary, and read this most recent comment from J-Ball.
Man, I got way too much to say, Skap. Too much to write in a message. I'm going to make it on your show one day and yell at you. Yes, I'm young, but some of these old heads are ridiculous. All love. Peace.
Yes, J-Ball, you don't have to disclose your age, but I'm guessing you're in your 20s. And if, let's just say you're 25, which, J-Ball, do not send me another super chat. If you're still on here, you sent this most recent one that I have up on the screen 30-ish minutes ago. If you're still on here, just go into the regular live chat and just tell me, I'm looking at the live chat right now, what year were you born in? I'm guessing you're around 25, which would mean that you were born in 2000. Can you confirm or deny if I'm right or wrong? Gary, just keep a watchful eye on that from J-Ball in the regular. Again, J-Ball, no need to send me another super chat. Just send it in. What's up, Sully, by the way? I see Sully is in the MFG house. What's up, brother? So I see. Okay, there's just some speculation. I don't know that J-Ball is even in the chat anymore. So I guess I won't go overboard on this.
Hey,
wait, I see it. I was born after LeBron got drafted. All I'm gonna say. So he was born after LeBron got drafted in 2003. Am I right? I'm right about that, right?
Yes. Yeah, 2003. Right.
So I'm wrong. He's even younger than 25. If he was born the exact year LeBron was drafted, let's just say he's 22. So look, no disrespect to the young guys, because I love that. First of all, I am very thankful that I have younger people in here. I do get comments from younger people, and there's younger people that are in here. I respect you guys. I'm very thankful to have you in, because I'm old. So I do have takes about the history of the NBA as a result, like, yes, my audience skews older. So the fact that I have like a 21 or 22-year-old running around in here is I'm very thankful for that, Javo. And I don't want to discourage your I don't want to discourage your involvement by saying anything else about your age. But I'll just say this. There are certain things that like you maybe can't remember or whatever. Like you're talking about stuff with Kobe and Shaq that you weren't even close to being around to remember or see or watch or experience. Like Shaq and Kobe were doing that in 2000, 99, 2000, 2000, 2001, and 2001, 2002. You weren't even alive. So like, I hope that maybe by me reading that supporting cast that Kobe and Shaq had, like Kobe and Shaq were equals in those. Like, I'll give it to you on this. Shaq was better by a margin than Kobe in 2000 in the 99-2000 run. But even in that 99-2000 run, like Kobe Bryant was still an all-NBA player and he was all-NBA defense. Let me just go back and I just want to confirm what I'm saying. I want to say that he was second team all-NBA and second team all-NBA defense. I'm sorry, he was second team all-NBA. And so in 99-2000, the first one, which I'm in agreement that Shaq was a margin markedly better than that first one. But even in that one, Kobe was second team all-NBA and first team all-NBA defense that year. And in the playoffs, Kobe still averaged 20 points per game. He got hurt in the finals and didn't really play an entire game, which really tanked his finals average. But like, even in that series, in that playoff run, where again, I'm conceding that Shaq was the main guy in that one. Still in the Western Conference Finals series, which was the real NBA Finals round, like Kobe Bryant was as big and as needed and as critical to winning that as anybody. In Game 7 of the 1999-2000 Western Conference Finals between Portland and LA, that was Game 7, winner take all. The Lakers were getting beat up early. And in fact, they were down at halftime. They were down 3 at halftime, but then they lost the third quarter by 10. They were down 13 points at the end of the fourth quarter. That championship wasn't going to happen. That first of 3 championships wasn't going to happen. It was going to be the Portland Trail Blazers. But then the Lakers dominated the fourth quarter, and they did so behind Kobe Bryant, who had 9 points in that fourth quarter, 9 points, 3 rebounds, a steal. And for the entire game, in that Game 7, Kobe Bryant led the LA Lakers in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. Do not adjust your listening device if you're still in here, J-Ball. In Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals in 99-2000, the one where, yes, I'm admitting that Shaq was easily the best player over Kobe on that one run. In that Game 7 of the West Finals, Kobe led the Lakers in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks over Shaq. And that's the one where Kobe got carried. Oh, also in that one, Kobe is the only guard to steal, get at least 30 steals and at least 30 blocks in one single postseason run. Not even Michael Jordan did it. He was the first guard ever and still remains the only guard in a playoff run to get 30 blocks and 30 steals in the same postseason run. And he was first team All-NBA defense that year. And he scored 20 points per game in the playoffs. That's the guy that you think got carried. Fine, in that one year. But then the next 2 years, it was just even. If not, Kobe was actually the more important player. So, like, me saying that is a guy who was, like, in his teenage years, J-Vol, watching it. You weren't even born yet, and yet you're coming in here and disparaging those 3 rings by Kobe. It's
Shaq even said Shaq even said in 2001, after Kobe beat the living hell out of my Spurs, in the interview, Shaq said Kobe's the best player on the planet.
And then even then, J-Ball, I said earlier that like 2011 invalidates LeBron James from being in the GOAT consideration, in my estimation. You said you won't even say exactly how old you are. All you'll say is you were born after LeBron was drafted. Well, let's say you were born the year he's drafted. That's 04. I'm saying 11. How much can you realistically remember from when you were 7 years old? Or how much could you have understood from when you were 7 years old? I was 14 or 15 years old when Michael Jordan won his sixth and final NBA championship with the Chicago Bulls. And even I didn't really truly understand what I was watching at that point in time. I can now go back and study it afterwards and understand it more. And maybe you have done this. Maybe you have gone back and studied and evaluated the way I have rigorously gone back and reevaluated all these different eras in NBA history. Maybe you have. And if you have, maybe you can come on and yell at me if you want sometime. But I'm telling you, like, if you were 6 years old when LeBron James was pooping himself in the NBA Finals in 2011, like, well, you don't really have a pure snapshot of exactly what his career is all about and what it encompasses. And for how bad it really was, I just want to take you down a quick walk down memory lane, and then I'm getting out of here because it's 3 hours and I'm exhausted. It's like 1 o'clock my time. But let me just go through this final series real quick. These were close games, J-Ball. The Miami Heat won game 1 by 8. The Dallas Mavericks won game 2 by 2. Then the Miami Heat won game 3 by 2. And then the Dallas Mavericks won game 4 by 3. Okay? That is a 2-2 series that could have went either way. It could have been 4-0, basically, either team. Then the Mavericks won by 9 in game 5. And then they won by 10 in game 6. Anyway, that was a tight, every game was tight. And yet LeBron James scored a grand total of 0 total clutch time points. Clutch time being defined as points scored within a 5-point game, either up 5 or down 5 within the final 5 minutes of a game. There was a lot of those situations in this series, and your GOAT or your top 2 or 3 guy scored no points in a 6-game series that they lost 4-2. And that was coming off of 2 consecutive NBA MVPs. And in that series on his own team, he was the 3rd leading scorer. Dwayne Wade averaged 27 points per game on 55% shooting. Chris Bosh averaged 18.5 on 41%. LeBron, 17.8 points per game as a back-to-back league MVP. 3rd on his own team. And then you had Dirk Nowitzki outscore him too on the Mavericks, 26 points per game. And Jason Terry, 18 points per game. And Terry played in 195 minutes. LeBron played in 262. So in the course of one series, LeBron James played in 70 more minutes than 33-year-old 6'1" or 6'2" journeyman Jason Terry, and Jason Terry outscored him. That guy ain't ever going to be number 1, ever. I'm sorry. It's over in 2011. And you were probably 6 or 7 years old when it happened. So, like, I don't know what to tell you, J-Ball. I don't know what to tell you. Bro, I may be an old head, and much love and peace and respect to you as well as a young head, but I'm telling you, there's shit that you haven't seen that I've seen that changes the way that you think about these players. Go ahead.
And let me elaborate something, because I'm older than you, because when Jordan's dynasty started in 91, I was a teenager. And so I clearly remember the whole run. And let me tell you this, remember in 2013 when the Spurs choked to the Heat in that Ray Allen shot? And then remember the next year when the Spurs got past OKC in the Western Conference Finals and they interviewed Duncan, and Duncan was laser focused. He said, we'll get it this year. You know what Duncan wanted? Duncan wanted LeBron. And he beat the absolute living hell out of LeBron in the Heat on that rematch. This is my point, Skap. Whoever looked focused and ready for Jordan No one ever wanted to face Jordan in the playoffs. He had an aura of invincibility that you guys will never comprehend because you were not there to witness it. You don't know what Jordan was like. No one wanted to play against Jordan in the playoffs. But what the guys in LeBron's era, they were looking forward to facing him in the playoffs. Duncan wouldn't have been happy like that to face Jordan back in the 90s.
And even the Nuggets, like the Nuggets kind of savored playing LeBron here in the Lakers with when he had AD. Like they swept LeBron once and then beat him in 5 with AD playing at like all NBA levels in those playoffs. So like I don't know what to tell you, J-Ball. Why do I have Kobe where I have him? Why do I have LeBron where I have him? Because I watched the entirety of both of their careers in like relative adult age. So like I'm jealous of you being young. I wish I could go back and be 20 something again too. But like it allows it gives and look, I haven't seen the 1960s. Like I didn't see the 1970s. I didn't even see the 1980s. But like I've gone back and I've evaluated these players, the teams they had, the competition they had, like what their peaks look like. Like that's why my list is what it is. And like it's pretty rigid and like immovable at this point. But we'll see. I mean, someone's going to come along eventually, like Nikola Jokic or Victor Wembanyama, that are going to penetrate and switch things up. But like I said, I'm out of gas here. I was not expecting this to turn into a 3-hour night, but here we are. It did. It is a little past 1 o'clock on the East Coast where Gary and I are at. Possibly, Gary, I don't know if maybe you want to try to slide in a football one tomorrow at some point.
Yeah,
I'll see how I'm feeling and how the day's shaping up. What do you think, though?
If you're up to it, I'm up to it because I do want to talk about NFL playoffs.
Okay, so maybe we'll try. I think we'll probably shoot for like a little bit later, like we did it last time, around, I don't know, like 2 or 3. I'd say we go a little bit later, like, but not this late. Like maybe we started at like 7 or something.
Okay.
And do like a little prime time, like 7:30 edition, and just kind of chat some NFL playoff matchups for this weekend, kind of set those up.
I'm even open if you want to. We could come on at the 4 o'clock Saturday at the start of the game and just kind of talk about the game as we're talking about the playoffs. If you're open to that, I would like to try to do one during the game and kind of talk about the game and playoffs, but I don't know what you have going on.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I mean that's also a possibility. And yeah, we'll connect. We'll connect like sometime tomorrow, and we can review and figure out. I can look at my schedule and see what I think might work best, and then the games and stuff too that are on. So yeah, I'll connect with you sometime tomorrow, and I will connect with all of you guys either over some kind of a video tomorrow, potentially. Gary and I will do that football live stream tomorrow. So yep, look for something. I'll do something probably tomorrow, whatever it might be, maybe something on this Laker game. I'd have to go back and check it out and see exactly what happened in it, before I talk about it. But guys, as always, please do make sure you are subscribed, if you aren't already, and turn on notifications, to stay up to date with more from me. Until next time, guys.